Hello mate, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, sir.
I'll do the click by the way because it's a nice point at which to find it.
Oh, to start.
So I can just, if I find the click, then I can sync the
Wonderful.
sync the camera with the audio. Cheers,
Beautiful.
sir. Nice class support. There you go.
Beautiful.
Is this too loud in your ears? Or is this all right?
No, it's perfect.
Alright,
Sounding good.
Okay, so a bit of backstory. So Max and I first met we met actually. We both used to work for an estate agency.
Yes. So what was that? 2012, I think.
No. Later than that. So
14 maybe.
15. Yeah, July 2015. I joined in July 2015. You joined in like the tail end of the summer, so like August, September.
September time. Yes, that was September.
See, I first met you on like it was a weird like induction day because you and a few other new starters who hadn't quite started yet. And then I saw you like 3 days later at a mutual friend of ours' birthday, and you were like,
That was it, yeah.
I know who you are. And I was like, I know who you are. And then we didn't realise that we were connected by your brother.
Yes.
Because I knew your brother before I knew you.
Yeah, so you went to school with Sam, didn't you?
Yeah. Who looks younger than you and looks nothing like you.
No, you know, he sort of got the brains in the family.
Oh, I see.
I just had to get by with good looks.
Yeah, well, it's done you pretty well so far.
Not too
The
bad.
fair lady's not complaining.
No, she's happy. So
Well, I mean, she might be, but...
that's the main thing.
Yeah. Right, so...
She doesn't complain to my face.
No, that's true. She just complains to everyone else.
Exactly, yeah. As long as I don't have to hear it, it's fine.
That's fine, exactly. So, obviously, we always know each other from a professional standpoint, and then only in the last few months we're reconnected again. What books? Talk to me about books.
So books for me, something that I didn't really get into till a lot later in my life. I avoided them like the plague when I was at school. So I just thought,
you didn't want to be clever.
Learning, yeah, exactly. Who wants to be clever? That's not what everybody wants to do.
No,
but then you get to the point where like I think almost as to the day when I left school or college, it was like a switch that happened, and you think, oh God, like now I'm out in the real world. You've actually got to fend for yourself, really. So I started reading, various different books. I think the first one, or the one that had the most impact on me, was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Is that one you've read before?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some of the concepts in there are quite maybe dated or far-fetched, but I think a lot of them still resonate with what most of life is, especially for males these days, that we have to perform in order to achieve and get what we want to do. There are various parts in there that, as we say, are probably outdated now. But the main sort of concept of the book, of course, is just positive affirmations, having a positive mental attitude, ensuring that you go out and perform to the best of your ability in the world, which is what you got to do, really, isn't it? Get up every morning, no matter how you feel, just get on with it, push forward.
Well, one more question in my head was, was there anything in particular that sort of appealed to you from Napoleon Hill? But I think you've already answered that. How did you get turned onto it?
So I think I actually found it through Instagram or something like that.
Cool.
I'm not 100% sure how I came across it. But I think the point you were mentioning there is like the positive affirmations are probably the concept that I took away from it most. To the point where I write down my affirmations every morning and go through them, and it's more subconscious programming for yourself to keep you in that positive headspace. Because I know, especially in the world today, we've got so much information being bombarded us non-stop, really, isn't it? And if you can wade through all the shit basically and just keep your head straight moving forward, then that's all you need to do, really.
Yeah, there's a phrase which is like well, it's not a phrase, a statement that was the last person that knew everything that humanity knew was John Stuart Mill, which was a philosopher in 1870 something.
Yeah.
Because since then information has just exponentially grown, so we are in like the information age, not necessarily the knowledge age.
Exactly. There's so much of it.
There's just so much, and it's like you could have you look at YouTube for example, I think it's some ungodly number gets uploaded like every day. So it's like that's not knowledge. It's just stuff. It's just physical information.
And we've got to go through it and just work out. You know, there's a lot of research and things that I look at, and you know, you read, and you know, I would say 90, maybe 95% of it is bollocks. And then you know, you just got to pick out the bits that work, even from people like, you know, I've worked with various people before, which I think, you know, you're a knob, but you know, I've learned from them in either something positive that they do, and I think, well, you know, although my opinion of you personally is not very high, you know, I like the way that you do that, so I'll take that concept and I'll sort of add that to the way I do things. Or on the flip side, when they are knobs, you think, well, I'm just not going to do it like that. I see that is not a positive way to deal with people, or that, you know, turns people off. So just do the opposite of that. It works quite well.
I think if you don't get a role model, like you're saying, you can at least figure out how not to be.
Exactly. Exactly. And you just gotta. It's a daily process, isn't it? You know. You add. You know, what's the saying? Is it? So if you just grow 1% a day. Then you know, in a year's time, you've got exponential growth, haven't you? So.
It's that and the Jeff Olson slight edge approach.
Go on.
Which is the 1%. It's just you do that little bit of something every single day. It's the compounding effect.
The compound effect, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's another book that I've read, and you know, I think everybody should read the compound effect, because although I had a concept of it before, reading it really properly puts it into perspective. How you know, just tiny little changes day after day after day can obviously compound into, you know, massive growth, either personally in your own lives, or even, you know, just with, you know, simple things like money and interest and stuff like that. It's madness.
Well, that's the most frequently used example, isn't it? It's the penny in a bank.
Exactly. So it doubles every day.
Yeah, the parable of, do you want $1 million now, or do you want a penny a day for
double
forever?
For 30 days.
It's fascinating. It's funny when you look at these sort of principles like compound effects, like edge, snowball effect, all that sort of stuff. It's all about forming those habits. Because when I first started doing this, it was during the lockdowns, just so me and my friends could stay connected. Obviously, since going back to work, it's like I've stopped doing it, even though, because I was like, oh, I'm seeing everyone now. But I love doing it. And it was just like, my philosophy at the time was, I got to do it, make a loss doing it, but it's fun, and all I do is just not quit. And what do? Quit.
It happens, doesn't it? You know, life gets in the way and things happen.
But obviously it's
But if you enjoy it, that's the main thing. If you can find things you enjoy doing.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, it's rebuilding that habit is the thing that I'm looking at for it. So it's just making sure I get that habit back in.
Well, yeah, the habits again. That's another point from, you know, the Think and Grow Rich book. It's all about developing good habits. You know, I'm sure, you know, even from myself and my own personal life, but I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, is, you know, growing up you do pick up bad habits, whether it's drinking. You know, we're British, aren't we? So we like a good drink.
Well, you are. Wait.
You're not British?
I am, yeah.
You're British. But, you know, we pick up, you know, things like, you know, drinking, you know, every weekend, or, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then maybe Wednesday for the week. And then you realise, and it's not really until you get out of it that you realise the effect it's physically and mentally having on your ability to perform. And as soon as I sort of stop doing that, you know, I have a little tipple every now and again. But for example, you know, I drank on Tuesday this week, which was a terrible idea. And then, you know, I've been paying for it with my performance over the last 3 or 4 days, and it's just, you know, we've only got without getting too philosophical, you know, we really...
Oh, we'll get philosophical. Come on, that's the whole point of this.
Well, we really do, you know, only have like a limited time on this earth. None of us can really understand why we're put here in this place and time. And it's not really especially till I realised recently, I know it's been happening my whole life, but I'm about to hit 30, so this year I'm about to hit 30, you think, you know, when you get to 18, you think, oh, I'm an adult now, you know, I need to start acting like an adult, and you think, oh no, well, I'll push it to 21, and then you get to 21, you think, no, I'm still young, you know, I'll push it to 25, but then like when you get to the 30, the 3-0, like once you're above that, there's no more excuses. Do you know what I mean? You've got to you've got to be on point, you know.
Well, when we were at the estate agencies together, do you remember the guy who was my manager at the time?
Mateo.
Yeah. So I remember first meeting him, and he was like, "Oh, I mean, I'm 25." And I was like, "Whoa, this dude's old.
Yeah,
He's got
yeah.
his shit together."
Yeah.
And I was like, now I'm like, "Oh, I'm 27." I was like, "I don't have my shit together." I was like,
No, I think
I was like,
as a
"What the fuck?"
25-year-old in that position,
Yeah.
he was smashing it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm just like looking back on it now. I'm like, how? I was like, that's remarkable.
No, he was good. No, he was a good lad.
Yeah.
Good lad, Mateo. And you could tell again he had the work ethic, he had the habits. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing is, I found is getting up early.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I get up at 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, then I'm a bit sluggish. But you know, I get up at 5 in the morning every day, no matter how I feel. You know, I don't wake up every morning and think, oh, I feel fantastic at 5 o'clock.
No one does.
But by 5:15,
Yeah, fine.
you realise most people are still in sleep,
Yeah.
still in bed, asleep, and you've got that edge over the competition. Really, that's what it is. You know, we're all competing in this life, aren't we?
I read first, so before I wax lyrical about myself, the types of books that you read, is it exclusively non-fiction, or do you mix it up?
Yeah, so I don't really read any fictional books. The majority of mine are sort of self-help, you know, to hopefully push me forward to achieve, you know, the goals that I have.
Interesting.
Because I know you read a lot of fiction, don't you?
Well, it's for physically reading, it is almost exclusively fiction.
Okay.
But I consumed Napoleon Hill and other authors like that when I was at the estate agency, because I had them on Audible on my phone.
Yes.
So I had them in my car, and I was going around, so I consume probably a book every couple of days.
But that's a brilliant thing about Audible. You know, I totally agree. Is that, you know, I tend to, when I buy a book, I'll then get the you know, the Audible book as well. Because again, if you're driving around, you know, I do a lot of driving myself. I know you do quite a bit of driving. Is, you know, if you're in the car for an hour or two.
Yeah.
Or, I used to listen to music all the time, and you realise that although it's good entertainment, you know, entertainment is not putting you in the right mindset to push yourself forward. So when you listen to the Audible books and stuff like that, yeah, again, you've just got that constant mental in your head, basically.
Yeah, music, when you're listening to it, like going back and forth, it's pleasure, is what it is.
It's pure pleasure, isn't it?
But it's fascinating how many things in life are pleasure disguised as something you must have as essential. Which I do agree with that in the sense to music. Like, music is good for the soul.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, it's fascinating that we are in a consumerist society which doesn't emphasise delayed gratification. It's all about get it like now. And the obvious thing is obviously buying stuff, but even things like music or porn, it's just like instant gratification, like at your fingertips. So it's just like there's no emphasis or there's no incentive to work hard for anything.
Yeah.
Because it's all there. You can get it so easy.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the point about porn, really. So.
And that's why Max really wanted to come.
Exactly. Yeah. That's all I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. That's what you think about all day, mate.
That's what I think about. So for me, and again with my brother and quite a few of my close friends, that we don't consume any of that. And don't get me wrong, when I was younger I did, but it wasn't until
who didn't?
I realised probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even longer, that again, one, it's just a complete waste of time, but two, it's like it makes you sluggish mentally, physically,
hugely,
and it's not. Again, if you want to push yourself forward to progress and be the best person, then all it does is hold you back. Do you know what I mean? It gets you into like a lust mindset, which is, well, effectively you're controlled by your emotions, which, especially for males in this day and age, it's not positive to anyone's progression.
Yeah, it's less controlled by emotion for like porn, excess porn consumption. There's so many angles to this. There's like it's less emotional, it's more like hormonal.
Yeah.
But it's obviously feeding on the testosterone aspect of it. I look at it as with dogs, male dogs, when you have to remove their testicles, their bark gets more high pitched.
Right.
And
Is that because the dropped level of
it's
testosterone?
the testosterone as well. And it's also a case of you can't do it until they are fully grown, because then it stunts their growth, and you can have really negative health consequences for male dogs. So it's you're neutering them, or same with like a bull. If you take like a bull's testicles away, they become really docile and really like, I'm not going to fight or get like jacked, because bulls are jacked.
On that point, I found that my motivation levels 10x when I stopped.
Yeah.
Watching porn and consuming that type of stuff.
Exactly. So I look at the perspective that it's you're basically like neutering yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Which is partly why I think, for all the talk that porn is like bad or whatever from like the mainstream media, it's not. If something was truly that bad, they would have banned it. I think the fact that it's insanely profitable, and also the fact that I think the fact that it takes motivation from people, and it's such a addictive and immediate gratification feedback loop. I think that's part of the reason why it has just been allowed to explode.
Well, as you say, it keeps people docile, doesn't it? Especially
it's so easy to control
males.
if you've got really low testosterone levels.
Yeah, and if you've got low self-control, it's easy to just get on there these days. And as you say, it sort of neuters a generation. Obviously, I don't know what it's like in our parents' generation, but they couldn't just log on in seconds.
I think it goes back to the delayed gratification thing. You have to work hard for it, because it's the cliche stereotype of how although all they got was a playboy or a hustler that was buried under a rock in the woods.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all they had.
And it is just a bit of a strange concept, isn't it?
Well, and then going back to my previous point about different angles to it, is that if you use it right, it can be great. Like, if you use it in, I don't know, as a couple, then that could be incredibly arousing for some people. Not me personally. It's never been in my interest, but I'm sure there are some couples who have found it really arousing to watch it together, and then it spurs you on. Fair enough. Not hurt anyone.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's I'm sure there's like that, like everything. A certain amount is probably has a positive effect. But I just try personally just to keep away from it. Just obviously, as I say, the motivation that was the main thing for me. And it's also I just think it's a bit of a weird concept. Sitting there watching to other people.
Well, that's next.
Yeah, it's not really. When you really think about it, or personally for me, when I think about it, I just think it's a bit.
It is strange. Yeah.
It's a strange old concept. I got to a point where I was thinking what if somebody was watching me, or someone could see me, or your ancestors are looking down from ahead, which I don't think about that often, to be fair. But I'm thinking what would they think of me? Being sat here doing this. Then? They'd just be shaking their heads, wouldn't they? Thinking.
I read it in.
What are you doing with your life?
I read in a book once that said that. I must have been 10 of this book, but it was whatever action you do, imagine it. It was written on the front page of the newspaper the next day.
Yeah.
I was like, that's really interesting. So whatever you do, they'd be like, Max was jerking off to dwarf porn, as opposed to, or Max was doing 50 push-ups. It's like, which one would you rather have on you?
Exactly,
You're like, okay, I get it, yeah. Or Max was meditating so hard he managed to levitate. You're like, yeah, that's a better one, yeah.
That's a pretty good one. I've not managed to do that through meditation yet.
Oh, no, yeah.
Hopefully one day.
Do you meditate?
Not as much as I should do.
Meaning you don't?
No, I do, yeah. So,
really?
I do probably 10, 20 minutes a couple of times a week.
What does meditation look like for you?
So for me, I just, sit down in my room, try and calm my mind for the first couple of minutes. And then after you've managed to quieten your mind from everything else, everything goes sort of, not dull, but sort of, you can feel your heart rate pretty consistently. Then, I find that's where most of my good ideas come from. Is through meditation, you calm your mind of all of the outside, all of the stresses you've had from the day, all of the this guy said this to me, whatever, blah blah blah. This guy's acting like a knob and he's got on my nerves. When you finally relieve all that stress, then it's like, I don't know, it's like plugging into, I don't want to say a dream world, but plugging into motivation world. You start thinking about the concepts and the things you want to achieve and the goals that you want to get to, and then the ideas flow. Because I know these days when people think about goals and stuff like that, they quite often only think about the end goal.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the end goal, that is the title, isn't it? That's what you want to achieve. But you don't get there. You don't go from A to B, do you? I like to see it as a staircase. You say, you've got the goal is 25 steps away. So it's like, okay, I can't do that today, but what can I do today to jump that first step, climb that first step? What needs to happen in the immediate future, i.e. the next 5, 10 hour, to be able to get to that level? And then again, you just, like the compound effect, you just compound it, roll it over every day, and then before you know it, you've got to that goal.
So Malcolm Gladwell sort of perspective as well, because he wrote a book called Outliers where he was saying that to be an expert in anything, not a master, because you can never be a master, but to be an expert in anything, you need to put in 10,000 hours.
10,000 hours, that's it.
Which is really interesting, because if you look at
it's about 5 years, isn't it, if you work it out?
7, I think. It's an hour a day, effectively.
Yeah.
Is the breakdown for it. Obviously, you can do it faster and slower, but yeah, it's that rough sort of thing. Because there was a point. So my first ever instrument was the piano, which was 7 or 8. So I started playing that. So I've been playing since then, at varying degrees of frequency and talent. But,
being the ultimate word there.
Yeah, but there was a point in the most recent lockdown, which was 2021, beginning of that. I remember just sitting down at the piano and just randomly playing stuff, and I was just writing tunes, and I was like, "The fuck!" I wasn't trying to; I was just randomly doing this stuff.
And you get in that flow state, don't you? Once you
it's the flow
have
state.
a certain amount of competence in it.
Yeah, it's the flow state and the idea that I was like, maybe I have put those hours in. Maybe I have put 10,000 in over those years. So I was like, 20 years, just shy of 20 years.
Yeah, but Ian, you
must have.
You don't often, in your sort of conscious mind, really realise that all of the things you've done throughout your life, add up, as I said, like the compound effect, until you actually start physically doing something, and then as you say, when you sat down there and thought, right, I'll start writing, and then it all just starts coming to you, doesn't it?
There's a school of thought which I'm a subscriber to, is that people don't have ideas have people. In the point that if you listen to any song, any tune or whatever, you're like,
I've heard of that one, but that sounds good.
If you had like Back in Black by AC/DC, you're like, okay, cool, Angus Young and them wrote it, but how did they come up with it? And it's like, oh, because of this. It's like, yes, but how did this event create those lyrics? Fine, but how did this event create that sound? That precise sound, that precise chord progression, that precise riff, how did that come about? And you're there like, yeah, because no other thing like that existed before. Like with words existed before in different arrangements, and you just put them in a certain arrangement. But this whole sound, that's never ever existed like that before.
Well, is it? I'm not massively into music writing myself, so I don't really have any sort of prior experience there. But if I could relate it to something that I do, is more of like an evolution of doing things. So it probably started with one line or something. And thought, let's just do a quick riff to this. Oh, actually, that doesn't sound quite right. Let's tweak it slightly, and then over the next day, week, month, or whatever, they come up with the whole song. But
the same idea that it's because music is so subjective. How do they know that sounded right? Why did that sound right? Like all we can all recognise is that it did, and it does. As well as one of the biggest bands of all time.
But would that potentially be because they've probably had their 10,000 hours? So they're not maybe doing it for other people, they're doing it for themselves and what they think sounds good or what they're interested in.
It contributes to it, but again, to go back to the question, how did that sound come about? And why that sound and what and how?
Yeah, it's very, that's quite a deep concept.
It is. You're there like, but because it could have been any sound, it's like, but it just happened to be that specific one for Back in Black. It could have been anything.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting point. I've never really thought about it like that. When you think, again, you can relate that to major things, isn't it? It's like how does anything really happen?
But I think it's also about the thing about like ideas, like for like anything. Like if you look at maybe like construction, to a certain degree, it will have you'll get that from what is most functional. Like a Keystone Bridge, for example, that's the most functional because if you have them all slightly off and then go up that way, Keystone in the middle, it will naturally keep all the weight in because the more pressure exerted to it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, that makes a lot of sense just from gravity and structure and all sorts of stuff. But if you look at like, what's the fancy bridge in London? The one that kind of twists like this.
In front of the Tate Modern.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Not sure exactly what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it'd be like, how did you come up with that?
Well, again, would it not be trial and error through maybe small models or something, and then they think, well, we can make this on a much larger scale.
Maybe.
Again, with the Keystone, how did they think about that? Like, they must have trial and errored that to a level where they think, well, actually, let's try this, isn't it?
Or found something in nature that was that maybe.
Yeah, like maybe
I
a
don't know,
mountain, a rock fall or something like that.
Yeah, rockfall could have done it. Yeah, if you had a certain avalanche or whatever, and then this fell in a certain way, you'd be like, oh, it's holding it up because there's this big one in the middle.
Exactly,
Yeah, could have been.
How's that working?
I think that's a bad example because that is a structural, functional thing. But I mean, like any of these sort of books, because what's the main thing reason you haven't gone towards fiction?
Myself, that's a good question. It's something I've never thought of really. Because I only started reading sort of a lot later in my life. I've only really used it as a tool to progress in my learning that I can 100% relate to what I'm doing at the time. Now, don't get me wrong, I watch TV shows and stuff like that, which is probably my area of fiction and imagination. But for me, I just try and relate it to something that's going to help my growth and progression.
Okay.
Like for example, there's two books that come to mind. We talk about that. Is Say What You Like About Grant Cardone. He's done very well. Massively
He's
successful.
very entertaining,
and he's an entertainer as well.
Yeah.
He's got some interesting concepts.
Yeah.
There's some things I don't agree with, but there are a lot of things that I do agree.
Yeah.
And I read his book, The 10X, and that just pushed me forward to just think bigger and bigger. Because usually you're thinking, right, how can I just improve slightly more to get a bit better. But obviously that concept is, say you're earning £1,000, right? What do I need to do to earn £10,000? And then when it gets £10,000, okay, what do I need to do to earn £100,000, etc., etc. And it helps really put into perspective the levels you need to get to level up. Because again, if you spend a year leveling up, again, let's use monetary terms, from £1,000 to £1,200, then you spent 12 months and there hasn't been really that much progression. But because you've given yourself that time scale, you've worked towards it. Now, if you do the 10x in that time scale, then you've had proper progression within just 12 months. And that helped again with myself a lot. I'm a highly driven individual, which is not always a good thing, because I get to you get to a place where you think, right, once I get to that level, I'll be comfortable, and then you get there and you're not comfortable, and you think, okay, well, the only place to go now is do it all again, do it all again, do it all again. And I'm still young, I'm still under 30 for now, but I sometimes ask myself, will I get to a point where I will be happy with the level that I get to, or is that just human nature that you've constantly got to level up and push forward?
I don't think you ever want to be comfortable.
No.
You want to be content.
That's where your dreams go to die.
Yeah, comfortable is dangerous. Very, very dangerous. It's going back to delayed gratification, we need to earn pretty much every day. Because when you think about it, to survive, you don't really need to do a lot.
Not in this day and age.
No, well, not particularly in this country, with where we live and the work that we do, and the positions that we're in. We are stupidly fortunate,
Yeah.
and I'm specifically saying fortunate, not privileged, because I fucking hate the word privileged.
Yeah. That's a toxic word.
I hate it. I fucking hate it. We're incredibly fortunate, so you don't really need to do a lot, which is very easy to get comfortable and complacent because you don't really need to do much stuff.
No, exactly.
But if you're aware of it and you create your own struggle, then you earn the comforts, as it were, so that you've worked hard and earned your day. When you get into bed at the end of the day and it's the nicest thing you've ever felt, you're like, oh,
absolutely shattered. Yeah.
Because if you get into bed and you're there like, oh, you're like, okay, I haven't done enough.
Right, I know that from experience. For years, probably from 16 to say 20, I didn't exercise. I didn't push myself, forward in a way that I should do. I was getting to the end of the day, even though I'd been up, 16 hours or something like that, and I wasn't tired, and I'm sat in bed, not able to sleep. And I couldn't really work out what it was.
Yep.
And again, I'm not 100% sure where I've read it, but I read that effectively you're not exerting your body and your mind enough for it to be able to allow you the comfort to be able to sleep. And it's exactly as you said, when you've worked your ass off all day, you've done as much as you possibly can, then it gives you that privilege of being able to sleep sound.
Stop it. Don't say that word.
What's that? The privilege.
Yeah, don't do it. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's we have physiological requirements. I do. I've done a lot of Spartan races.
Yeah.
And
I've done those before. Like good fun.
Yeah, you'd be out in the mud for like the mud and the rain and obstacles and fucking boulders and atlas stones and shit for about for like 5 hours, 6 hours. And that feeling when you get out, you get your medal, you get back to your car, you dry off, you towel off, and you change into clothes, and it's just like, oh yeah,
clean clothes.
Oh, it's the nicest feeling.
It's such
you're
a simple
like,
thing, isn't it? But
yeah, something that like you just change into in the morning, and you're like, oh, that's just what it
you
is.
take for granted, don't you?
Yeah, but that time you're there like, oh yeah, it's just so nice. Everything just feels so good.
That's so much better, isn't it? When you push yourself forward to be able to to be able to get it.
That's a trance-like state you got to get into, just power through that shit.
Push yourself forward, which I haven't done any marathons myself.
No, neither.
But I've had experiences in my life before, where you're like, you can't stop. You want to stop,
but there's no option.
But there is no option.
Yeah,
it's either failure or keep moving forward, and failure's not an option, is it? So you've got to
particularly
keep moving.
Particularly in the example of like any old school course race like that, because the first one we ever did was on an old artillery range.
Very nice.
If you fuck up there, no one's coming to get you.
No, exactly.
They can't. Like, even a helicopter ain't gonna do it because you're just like in like woods. They can't come and get you.
Well, no, so going back to the concept of what we were talking about the delayed gratification is, say 200-400 years ago, we literally had to fight. We're fighting wars non-stop. Well, even up to say the 60s, so the World War II. Like every generation,
40s,
45. But the Americans, they're still.
Oh, they're still going. Yeah, still going now. Yeah.
But most generations of predominantly males, but I'm sure there the elements that women are involved.
Yeah.
As well. Especially for the male aspect is, we had to fight wars pretty much non-stop in human history up until, that's about 80 years ago now, isn't it? 70 years ago.
The 40s,
80 years ago.
80, 1943 is 80 years ago. That's crazy.
And they really had to do whatever they had to get the job done, isn't it? Some things probably not so pleasant.
Definitely not.
But it was a requirement for them to survive. And I without manipulating it too much, I try and bring that concept forward into what I do, because I've never experienced war. I've been extremely lucky in the fact that we've been afforded those the good times. But again, it could still all happen.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, easily.
But if we can use that concept in say in business or anything like that, it keeps pushing you forward, because that you've got to achieve something to get that good night's rest. If you don't have that, then again, this probably creates insomnia and all horrible stuff that you don't want.
It's the good night's rest. There's the discipline of it, of like how you choose to wind down before you go to sleep. Because if you spend ages on your phone before you go to bed, then that electric light just in your eyes just keeps you up, because it's an unnatural light at that time of day.
Exactly, yeah. And I know in this generation, a lot of people, they're on their phones non-stop until they go to bed. And I always try to avoid going on my phone. I'm terrible with the TV, don't get me wrong, but I can fall asleep with the TV on pretty easily. But the telephone, I always make sure I'm not on my telephone a good.
Telephone? What if I can dial up?
Yeah, that's it. My mobile phone, sorry.
Mate, I would love a rotary phone.
Yeah.
That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, we try and avoid that for half an hour before we go to sleep. But again, some people, they wake up, first thing they do
Straight away,
straight on their phone again. And I tend to not look at my phone till at least I've got up, I shower, brush my teeth, go out of the house, then wait till you're at least in the office or some type of work environment before you look at it.
I guess it depends what you're doing on it. If you're replying to text in the morning, that's fine. If you're actively doing something, then I see it like as a utility. But the problem that most people have, and we're all guilty of it from now and again, is just aimlessly scrolling. That's the problem with it.
The scroll holes.
Yeah,
that's the last thing you want.
It's like it's more powerful than the computers they used to shove fucking rockets into space back in the 60s.
But it ties back to your instant gratification concept. Is as soon as I sort of heard that and related that to, say Instagram or Facebook and stuff like that, I'd try my best to cut it off. Now, don't get me wrong, I find myself every now and again, just scrolling through and looking at cars or whatever, things that you like, and then you realise, I'm literally just looking through these because as soon as I see that photo, it gives me that dopamine hit that my brain is chemically designed to want and require.
Yeah.
But obviously we get it so easily and so often.
It's making that weird noise again.
Settle the show.
Turn you down a little bit. Yeah, so I'm looking at the sound layer. I don't know why it's being called correctly. I think I just turned the volume up too much. I was going to say something. What was I going to say? Something about dopamine hits.
But yeah, so I was saying about how when you're on the Instagram and stuff like that, you get your dopamine hit from looking through the photos and stuff like that, and it's not. Back in the day, you had to physically do something. You had to hunt. You had to kill a cow. Whatever you had to do. To to get that dopamine hit to bring back to the tribe, and then obviously you got fed from it. Whereas these days it's just too easy.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the risk of the reward part of it,
Exactly, and the delayed gratification, there is none, really, in this day and age.
Yeah, it's all instant,
Yeah, it was the instant gratification, which, I found, especially through business, is that, if you go for the instant gratification, you're going to lose every time. Do you know what I mean? You've got to constantly reinvest in your business, reinvest in yourself, your health, in order to level up to that next level. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're going to fall on your face every time.
It's that and learning patience.
Yeah, patience. That's the one thing I've always struggled with. I've developed it, I think quite well over the last 10 years, but a lot of people that know me will always understand that something's falling down.
Yeah, those things piss me off. I'll figure it out.
But we say our patience here, so that's one thing I've learned over the years, is that I do struggle with the patience, but I think that my patience is also linked to my drive. So, because I'm so driven in order to push forward to achieve what I need to achieve, whatever goal that is I have at the time. I can be quite impatient. I want to get to that next level. If I can do 15 things today, rather than doing 10 things today, I want to do 15.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I get that sometimes you only do 13 or 14 of those things. But as long as I push myself as hard as I can to get to those 15, then I feel you can sleep happy on that. But you have some days where you haven't pushed yourself forward enough, and then you get to the end of the day and you think that's a waste of a day. You just don't feel great about it, and you lose that gratification.
Yeah, I get that. What other topic did you have that we were looking at?
Well, so another book that we lost this one.
Yeah, fuck that.
That's fallen over.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to speak about that, but
No.
but one of the
If you turn the stand a little bit, just have the leg pointing towards you, then it should keep upright. Yeah, there you go.
there we go, sorted.
Stay bitch.
There we go. But so do you know who Patrick Bet David is?
Rings a bell. He's a podcaster,
Yes,
right?
he's a podcaster now. So he owned like
Just move that a little bit closer.
an insurance broker
There you go.
in America.
Yeah.
And he went from he was an immigrant into the US, stuff for
Fucking
nothing.
immigrants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, he was afforded the opportunities to be able to go from absolutely nothing to, I can't remember what the figure was, but I think he ended up building his business over 25 years and sold it for something like 950 mil.
Damn.
As an insurance broker, from
Holy shit.
from immigrant with nothing
Yeah.
to build up to that.
Fucking hell.
That's mental money.
That's crazy money, yeah.
And then obviously he's moved into podcasting and he's written a few books and stuff like that. But the book that I've read, or the one that interested me the most, was Your Next 5 Moves.
Mm-hmm.
And again, most of us understand the concept of knowing your next move ahead or being 2 steps ahead. His is like, that's not enough. You've got to know your next 5 moves so that you can, again, like the concept I said about the steps, is you've got to have your goal, but then what are your next 5 moves that are going to get you closer to that goal? And that resonated with me, similar to the 10x rule, is that you've got to plan everything. You can't wing it.
No.
There's certain times where you've got a slight structure to things, and you think, oh, I'll sort of wing that bit. But the better you plan, the easier it is to see things that come towards you in life, in terms of I believe quite heavily in the laws of attraction, but they don't work if there's no structure for it to go with. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise everything's just randomly coming towards you, and that's why I'm so heavily goal orientated, because if you're just aimlessly walking, I said the concept to my cousin the other day. I said, right, so if you've got a goal, let's use travelling as an example. Right, our goal is to go to Manchester. Okay, well, how do we get to Manchester? Okay, well, we work out, we get on this train, or we drive, or we do this, or that, blah 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 blah. So that there, you can work out your next 5 steps from there. But if you haven't got a goal, then okay, right, where are we going to? Don't know. Okay, so where do we start? Well, don't know. Don't know where to start from. You have to have something to aim towards, and then you can work out the next 5 steps in order to get there. I think that was, for me, another one of those books that really pushed me forward to get to that level.
So for yourself, have you got that like written down somewhere, or?
Yes, I've
Nice.
written down in my book. I don't reveal them.
No,
until
nor
we
should
get
you.
there.
No, certainly not.
Don't talk to them about anyone, because outside influences can often put off your goals.
Well, I mean, particularly the fact that it's not an attractive quality to sort of be bragging about money and stuff like that. Specifically on these sort of things. But that's that's good. You got that perspective there.
Yeah.
What other books?
So I read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life.
Yep.
12 Rules for Life. I followed him for a few years before he dropped the book. And to me, that was another interesting book to read and sort of understand. And I think the main one was make your own bed. And you see it all over social media and stuff like that. People talking about I want to change the world, blah 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 blah. How dare he tell me I should make my own bed? And this is the concept of it was obviously kind of lost on them. Is obviously the concept is really, how dare you go out there and tell anybody else how to run their lives, or how to control things, or how to do things, when you can't even make your own bed. Do you know what I mean? Like, make sure you have everything in order in your own life before you step out of your bubble and start sort of dictating to other people what they should do.
Yeah, it's the question: is your own house in order?
Exactly. Yeah. That's
It's
exactly
so good. If you start criticising other people, just ask you that question, you're like, okay, I can't say anything.
But then from yourself, I imagine obviously you read a lot of fiction, but most of the fictional books, they'll have a structure based around some type of hero's journey or something like that. I mean, what, for yourself, could you give me any concepts or a book that you've read and you think, well, that helped me massively to achieve something I wanted to achieve. Or
For one specific book.
for example, you're in a band, aren't you?
Mm.
And you play the drums. Was there anything that you've read that you thought this will help me on the hero's journey to becoming a musician?
No, because my my cup of tea, as it were, is fiction.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like me reading. What's that drumming one? It's not Spotlight. That's something else. It's not Footloose either. It's something like that. Whiplash. It's not like reading Whiplash,
Okay.
which is about like a drummer. It's just like I wouldn't do anything. For me, the books that I read. So I read a lot of science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So the majority of my bookcase here is the Warhammer universe.
Okay.
So those books
I'm
I love those books. Like most people will be familiar with like the figures that I do as well, which is just really calming.
Mm.
But the books I got into first, and there's probably about a handful out of that whole universe that I haven't read.
And the figures, going back to the meditative conversation we were having.
Mhm.
Is that something that you find sort of puts you in like
so
a
relaxing.
meditative state?
Yeah, really, it's tension relieving.
Yes.
It's very relaxing. It's very calming.
Calms the mind.
Yeah, it just soothes everything. It absolutely kills my arms
Yeah.
because I'm like this for ages.
Yeah.
Then afterwards I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, see, that's one of the things I would not have the patience for. So
Oh mate, I've started.
I respect your ability to.
I started.
to do that.
I started documenting. I've done it for nearly a year now. I've started documenting, doing pictures as I go along. So I'll show you afterwards. But you see a picture of when I first started. It is appalling.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm there like this is absolute dog shit. And then there's one I'll show you, one I'm quite proud of, and it's just there like, okay, there's clear progress, like that one over there. I'll show you that in a second. But that is like my epitome, like the big one. That's my perfection. So of the best I can do so far.
But yeah, see, it's good to see that progression.
Yeah, I can literally look back and be like, oh shit, there's actually a difference. It's amazing.
Am I actually this good at this now?
Well,
Considering that's where I came from.
yeah, well, I don't know myself have those thoughts. But to your point, so I read all the sci-fi stuff. Someone asked me this a few years ago. I had more books than I have now, and I counted them. I think I had like 360 books or something, like all fiction stuff. And I was like, fucking hell, that's a lot. And then I was like,
How many books do you read a week, shall we say?
last year I read 126 books. The year before that was 151.
Wow, so that's more than.
This year is going to be 183. Is I'm going to be reading this year. So one every other day.
Yeah.
Is the answer. So three or 4 a week.
You're a machine.
I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. And if I can get 183 books in a year,
That's not bad, is it?
not bad at all. But I was
Think about if you put that into self-help books. Where you would be.
That's my podcasts when I go around.
Very true.
So there we go.
Yeah.
So podcasts when I'm out about doing stuff,
Yeah.
and then reading is I get up early and I read for 2 hours before I go to sleep. It's about 5 hours a day roughly.
And does that have, again, like a meditative effect?
It completely just winds me down throughout the day.
Blocks everything out.
It just because I used to read on my phone,
Mhm.
and it was quite nice because by reading, and then when I fall again to bed, it would switch the mode, so it would go grayscale, so there's less light, and then I fall asleep on that. But even then, after a while, it's like my head hurts because it's just still looking at a screen. So I started investing in physical books again, and it's so nice.
Yeah.
Like that's just having a paperback in your hand is just amazing.
Mhm.
But I was counting through all those books, just doing like an inventory, and I realised that each of the story is about, unless it's those books that are specifically from the perspective of the villains, each book is a story of good triumphing over evil. It's
The hero's journey.
It's the hero's journey. It's the the protagonists will strive through great odds. They'll suffer. They'll lose. They'll sacrifice. They'll suffer physical harm, psychological harm, emotional torture, and they'll still win at the end of it. And I was just like, the fact that I've read that over and over and over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, it reinforces an imprint in my head.
Mm.
And I didn't even realise that's what I was doing to myself until someone asked me how many books have you got?
Well, that goes back to the point of the positive affirmations.
Yeah, I didn't even, but it's subconscious. I didn't even realise that's what I'm doing, but I'm just bombarding and these are all,
But that's what happens, isn't it? The concept is with the positive affirmations. After after you read them every day, day in, day out.
Yeah.
That your conscious mind, travels into your subconscious mind, and then it just manifests itself in the reality. And obviously, if you're conscious of what you're putting in the subconscious, then when it appears in front of you, you've got the opportunity to jump at it.
And these specific books, they almost all of them are exemplifying characters of determination, loyalty, victory, glory, brotherhood, sacrifice, selflessness. This is all of these incredible human traits that you want.
Attributes.
So I think I must have. Obviously, I'm nowhere near close to absorbing all of them. I think I've absorbed some of them, and what I try and do is the same way that I don't let myself have, if I can help it, thoughts about I'm really good at this. I don't like it because I've had a.
I understand what you're going to say.
I've had a point in my life before where I thought I was really good at stuff, and I was, in retrospect, I was an asshole.
Yeah. Well, you want to be confident in your ability, but you don't want to be overconfident because that then manifests itself in arrogance and cockiness, doesn't it? And that effectively pushes you off your tilt, doesn't it?
Well, look, and cockiness to certain people is incredibly attractive because it's confidence equals competence is the idea. If someone's incredibly confident, you are perceived as very competent at whatever, which is an attractive trait for a lot of people.
I think maybe at a younger age, I think the cockiness can be perceived in a positive manner, but
cockiness, confidence is always attractive, though.
Yeah, but the more and more I think we've grown up and we sort of understand life a bit better. That we realise that the cocky people quite often it's a facade.
True.
It's put on to try and I don't want to use the word manipulate, but it's put on to try and shroud the fact that maybe they don't know what they're doing, but they want people to follow them anyway.
Well, it's an overcompensation to a point for some people. Yeah.
Exactly,
yeah. It is
a dangerous trait.
It's fascinating as well because that almost to a T, people that when you're talking about being younger, the people that were perceived as the cool kids or the people that everyone wanted to be, they're not that right now. As adults, they are not that.
No, 100%. And I agree with that. A lot of the cool kids you thought in school, you thought, they're going to go on to do big things, and you look back now and you think, Jesus,
nope,
what happened?
Yeah,
and it's probably because they never had, or they were too cocky, and they thought, it'll always be like this, it'll always be good. I don't have to work on myself, don't have to progress, I don't have to improve. I'm already at the top level.
That's a terrifying.
And then people overtake, and they can't quite comprehend what's happening, and then they stay in that spiral.
Are you familiar with the parable of Plato's cave?
I believe so. Go for it.
So Plato, for anyone who doesn't know, was one of the, if not the most important Greek philosopher. And he had this idea of that there was a man in a cave who only perceived the life in the universe as shadows on the wall reflected by
the light coming from the sun from the hole.
No, it's a fire.
Oh, it's just from the fire.
Yeah, it's from fire. So the reality is just the shadow or whatever's there. And for whatever reason, he left his fellows behind and explored the cave and came out into sunshine. So we discovered trees and animals and bright sunshine and greenery and daylight and water and wind and all this sort of stuff. And he was like, that's amazing. So he went back to the cave, trying to explain it to them, and they were like, you're crazy, man. They killed him.
Yeah.
He's like, this guy's crazy. But it's in a smaller way. Like I was probably for like 2 years after you and I stopped working together. I was in like a really bad place, and I didn't realise until afterwards that was my cave.
Yeah.
And as soon as I get out of it, I'm like, oh shit, because it's the full revelation, but you don't realise it when you're in it.
Especially when you're younger as well. We get to an age. Maybe I think it's probably predominantly for males, whether it's a testosterone-based thing, I don't know. But between 18 and 21, you think, right, well, I'm an adult now. I know, I've lived 20 years. I know what the world's all about. And I can go out and effectively do what I want. And it's not until the cold hard reality of the world comes and slaps you in the face you realise that I don't know everything,
No.
and there's a lot more I need to learn.
And I quite like that.
Yeah, no, for me,
I really like the fact I don't know everything.
daily learning is
Yeah.
Probably one of the the greatest things in life, really.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you know everything, there's nowhere to go, is there?
Yeah.
It's like I use it as the concept of a game. Do you ever play GTA?
Briefly, years and years ago.
Well, so there was this, not hack, but you could work out how to.
Or God mode.
Yeah, so you could work out on the stock market how to earn like billions and billions of pounds.
The stock market of GTA.
Yeah, the stock market of GTA 5.
Nice.
And I didn't discover this till my second revolution round of
the game.
of the game. But as soon as you earn all those billions of pounds, it kills the game.
Yeah.
Because you can buy anything you want, you can go anywhere you want, you can do anything you want, and it's fun for half an hour, literally. Bearing in mind that game is like a few days long when you play it. For about half an hour, it's like, this is fantastic, and after that, it's
so dull.
It kills the game.
And
And then you just end up starting again because you're like, well, there's no excitement in this anymore, so we better start again. But it's
Did you ever play Skyrim?
I'm not a big gamer myself.
Yeah.
So GTA was one of the only ones I played.
Did you ever give it a go?
Skyrim? Never heard of it. That's the first time I've ever heard of it.
Have you heard of Oblivion?
No.
Okay, so Skyrim was basically, it came out in 2011. It came out 11/11/11. Very good marketing. But it's basically like this, it's like Game of Thrones pretty much. It's this medieval kind of times, and there's magic and witches and dragons and spells and that sort of shit. And you can just, it's a open plan world. You can play it however the hell you want. And it's, when it came out, it was like revolutionary for the gaming world. It was like unbelievable. But the same concept, when it was out after a few years, the creators allowed it to be open source, so people could then write their own code for it. So people like modded it.
Yeah.
And the first one people did was God mode. So basically you have infinite magic, health and stamina and that, and you just can't die. So you can walk around like naked, and just like the hardest bosses in the game will just not even like prick you.
Yeah.
So as you say, for the first like 30 minutes, you're like, this is awesome. There's all the shit that was like so impossible to do. It's like I'm breathing through it. But then they're like, what is the point in this game? Because there's no risk, there's no consequence, there's no thrill, because you know you're going to win everything.
Yeah.
And it's just
Beautiful.
thank you. It's all part of content.
Exactly.
Yeah, same thing. It's just like you want things to be hard enough that you get the reward of overcoming something.
And there's an element of that in the Western world for I reckon 50% of the population, maybe even more. Everything is not everything, but it's a lot easier than it was, say, in our parents' generation and before that, to even like have food and stuff like that. Like it's the things even just like my parents told me, like they'd have like, there was like no takeaways. They had like a fish and chip shop and a couple of restaurants, and that was it. But these days, Deliveroo, bam, you can have like 100 different restaurants or whatever like that delivered to your door in like 2 seconds.
But is that better?
That was my point. Is that there's too much comfort afforded these days.
Too much convenience.
Convenience.
Yeah.
These days that it makes people lazy because they think, well, I don't need to do it because everything's so easy. Most people have got. I don't speak for everyone. Obviously, there are quite a lot of people that live in poverty, and it's a lot more difficult for them. But for the majority of the population, especially in this country, with the the welfare system, is they've got housing, they've got clean water, they've got food. They've got all of the main requirements to have a healthy life. Can even be provided or got very quickly and easily.
Would us having this conversation on here be hypocritical?
Of
Is us doing a podcast hypocritical because it's easy or convenient, or is this something that's difficult?
It's an interesting thought. I mean, for in sort of my eyes, again, we've been afforded luxuries both ourselves through our lives.
Yeah.
But I think we're doing this for fun, aren't we? It's slightly different, but again, it shows the the amount of luxuries we are being afforded
Mm-hmm.
quite easily in our lives that we can, for fun, we can,
Mm-hmm.
sit down, get the mics out,
Mm-hmm.
get the Apple Macs out
Mm-hmm.
on our iPhones,
Mm-hmm.
video ourselves having a nice little conversation,
Yeah.
and post it online, see if anyone else is
Mm-hmm.
interested in what we've got to say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good point. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's both. I think it is hypocritical. It's either hypocritical or ironic, one of them.
I think it's more ironic.
Yeah, because of everything you just listed. But equally, once we're done, I've got to then edit the whole thing,
Mhm.
condense it all down. I've got to listen to the whole thing,
Mhm.
which so far we're at hour and 15. I've got to edit the whole
We haven't
thing.
even got to the pertinent points.
Exactly. I've got to add it together with that. I think I'll wait for the whole thing to be done, which could take about a day to sync together. And then I'll upload it to YouTube, SoundCloud, Castbox, all that sort of stuff. All of this is very expensive,
Yes.
so it's a
But I think that does tie back to the point that we had, is that it is all quite expensive, but it's fairly easy in this country, at least from where my experience comes from, is to work to be able to get hold of it.
True. Yeah.
So it ties into that fact.
Yeah, I think that's why I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think absolutely both. I think it's an example of great fortune, and wonderful position to be in, but equally I think we're choosing to do something that's hard, because this is the physical act of talking is easy.
Yeah.
Because you and I have known each other for 8 years,
about 8 years,
something like that.
Something like that.
Talk is natural. We both do it for a living.
Yeah.
But
And we always have, between ourselves, we always have these interesting conversations.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
It was a good idea for us to sit down and
but
give
then
it a go.
creating the product, that's hard.
Yeah, that's the difficult part. You
Yeah.
can easily sit down and have the chat
Yeah.
and video it, but the next step,
Yeah.
as you say, with the editing and stuff like that, is probably where it gets a bit more.
But it's good. I like it because it adds the value to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's something that I'll ask you tomorrow how you feel. I'll be interested to see if I ask you about if you want to do it again, what your response is going to be. But yeah, it's interesting. It's very rewarding to have the final product put together. It's just like the creating thing. I think that everyone has two goals in life, two imperatives. One is to leave this world better than you found it.
Yeah.
And two, create something. Whether that's life or...
That was my point. Reproduction.
Yeah, whether that's life or just, that's like a given. Get rid of that. Create something. Whether it's a painting, it's a business, it's a book, it's a concept, whatever.
But again, is that because we're afforded, especially in this country, the luxury of doing that?
Think...
I can imagine in countries where it's a bit more difficult, they're probably still in survival mode, aren't they? Where it's like the main thing they want is to make sure
True.
they survive and their family's safe for the next day.
True, but if you wanted to... Jordan Peterson said, if you wanted to make the world a better place, elevate everyone out of poverty.
Yeah.
Imagine you're like an alien species looking down the planet. So with us, we have our internecine sort of warring factions and stupid disputes, which on the face of it are over bollocks.
Yeah.
Imagine as an alien species looking down and seeing this vast, teeming colony of billions of creatures all working to the betterment of the whole species. Imagine that concept. Imagine the work output if you had every single person trying to make the species as a whole better.
Well,
Just imagine the work
it'd be
output.
awesome, wouldn't it?
It would be unbelievable. We'd colonise the galaxy in like 20 years.
Yeah, and I think that's, I think at heart, without getting too political, is what the left, that's what they want. And I think at heart we're all, left wing, but I think the people that tend to sit on the right side of the wing are the ones that understand that, the left is the ideal and the right is the reality.
It's the pragmatic, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like we'd all love for the world to be free
Mm-hmm.
and all food to be free, which is possible if we all work congruently together to achieve that. But unfortunately, whether it's human nature or something different, it tends to be that we hoard things, and
Who are you calling a whore?
the hoard.
Oh, right.
We don't hoard things.
Well,
in
debatable.
a way. But we tend to get hold of things and hoard them, and say like the top 1% own, is it 95% of the world's wealth?
Pretty much everything, yeah.
Yeah. And then the rest of us are just fighting for the scraps, which again I'm not part of politics myself, so I can't speak for really all those situations, only an outward perspective, sort of looking at the situation myself. But you would think there's a better way of doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's why you've got the political spectrum as considered as a left and a right is, it's kind of set up that way. So it should ideally be a nice balancing act, whether it's a push and a pull or a centrist position. The idea is they should counteract each other. So whether you go this way and that way, or you stay in the middle quite a lot, I guess the idea is kind of set up that way so that you do have that check and balance as an idea.
No, and as we say, it would be fantastic if everybody could work together. Because as you say, we'd be so much further forward than we are.
True, but there's equally a perspective that competition is vital and important. For all that, it's
Well, I understand that concept.
Yeah, I mean, both of us are in the sales industry in different concepts, and we've been in the same one together. So we know what it's like to live in a competitive environment and to work in one.
I don't think the competition is negative. I think we worked at a place.
A little bit closer.
We both worked in various different sales environments, and I've worked in sales environments where the competition is always positive.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, we compete together. The best man who wins that week, or whatever like that, it's like, well, mate, you smashed it, you've done well, blah blah blah. Then I've worked in other competitive environments where it's like, we can't let him win because it'll make me look bad, type of thing. And I've never been like that. When I was in that scenario, I wasn't there for very long because I just thought, well, we are still the same team at the end of the day. He might be doing better than me, but instead of trying to put him down, what I need to do is improve myself, improve my game in order to get to that level.
I think there's a distinct difference between male competition and female competition.
In what respect?
I was listening to this podcast that would explain the differences. So studies have shown that men, if they compete together, it bonds and friendship. Women who compete together, it breaks them.
Really?
Which is a fascinating observation.
And does that have something to do with the fact that women tend to be competing for a mate?
I don't know.
And then men tend to be competing for the tribe?
I don't quite know what it is. And the episode I listened to, they didn't really quite have an idea either. They just noticed that was an observation. They obviously got some theories, but there's not a definitive answer about why it is that it was. But I think that's fascinating. Obviously, the male perspective is
camaraderie, and
you need that camaraderie. Hunter-gatherers, we're the hunters. We need to all be like groups together. So we work together to take down the mammoth or whatever. And then women are, we can't compete against each other because if we then compete, then then that means I'm going to lose out, and then my kid's going to lose out or whatever. So that's like the evolutionary explanation for it. But which, like anything evolutionary, it's all theory because we can't watch it happen because we don't have millions of years to watch something happen.
We base it on our current experience.
Yeah.
It's totally different to what it was 50, 100,000 years ago.
Yeah, but I think just that as observation is so interesting. It's like that's why a lot of team sports are male. Which is it's hilarious when you're watching this giant push for like female athletics.
Yeah. Which
you get the outliers of females who are like play WNBA or like football or anything. But you go to any of those games, if you do a check of like the sex ratio in the audience, 90% men. The women are not going to see women.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I did watch a thing, I think it was on Instagram the other day, and it was saying about, you know, do you believe in equal equality for, equal pay for the NBA towards the WNBA?
Ooh, interesting question.
And obviously all of the women, everybody who was asked all said yes.
Yeah.
And then they were asked, okay,
which one do you watch?
Can you name me one WNBA player? And not 1 out of 15 people could name even one player.
Fantastic.
And it was sort of like, gotcha. It's like, look, we all know, I don't even watch basketball.
I mean, even
it barely even gets played in the UK, but you know, we all know LeBron James.
Yeah, Jordan
all those people, just because they are, you know, the epitome of the top level of their sport. It's irrelevant that they're males; they're just the best of what they are.
Yeah,
and you know they achieve that through sheer grit and determination. I'm not saying the women don't.
Of course not.
That wasn't my point.
No,
I just mean that it had nothing to do with them being males.
But then I think there is a part of it that's to do with being males, because you get. It's an interesting thought experiment. Try and empathise and put yourself in a female's perspective. If you saw NFL, NBA guys, like these specimen male
top
athletes like go to war against each other, you must be like, damn, that's hot, because these really like physically impressive guys like fighting each other, like whoever's the best. You must be like, this is a hell of a spectacle, because women are going to go watch men like fight. Yeah. It's like loads of women over my lifetime that whenever we discuss them, like boxing or MMA or wrestling or whatever, they have one of two reactions. One is either horror, because like, I can't see people hurt each other, or then they're like, damn, that's hot.
Well, I think
which is just fascinating.
It comes back to the phrase, I guess, that when, you know, men and women would see that scenario, it would be like, you know, women want to be with them and men want to be them.
Yeah,
because men want to be at that level where they think, you know, bloody hell, these guys are the top specimens, and the women are thinking, well, they should have my children.
And flip it the other way, if a guy's watching two like apex females fight, I
probably wouldn't think that I'd want to be.
Did you see the most recent Black Panther?
I haven't seen it though.
Okay. Have you seen the first one?
Yeah, I've seen the first one. Yeah.
You like the first one?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, very good.
So the second one, because obviously Chadwick Boseman has passed away, unfortunately. Yes. They basically make his sister the next Black Panther. Yeah. But so in the first one, her and like all the other female Wakandans are quite. They're obviously a warrior caste, but they're all very feminine. There's one character who's feminine in this film. The rest are all built like NBA players.
Really?
They're all dressed like dudes. They've got like male haircuts. They're all like jacks, and you're there like, you're just guys. Like you're basically taking everything that is brilliant about women and just ignoring it and turning yourself into dudes. It's like. Did you not see that your original rendition where you were clearly female but still kicking the shit out of everyone, whereas now you're this weird androgynous thing?
And that was still semi-attractive to see, you know, a feminine male, a feminine female, be able to defend herself. Not that it's required for
Black Widow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect example. Yeah. Hot as fuck and still kicks the shit out of everyone. You're like, nice. I like that.
You think, you know, she'd be able to defend herself. Not that, you know, you'd want her to defend you, because I'm sure there's a demasculinating quality in that. However, if you were both in a situation together where you both were required to, you'd know that she'd have
handle each other,
and you'd have her back. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good pairing.
Well, there's for people who life, as we said before, is easy. I don't think people have been in situations where you need a masculine presence. In
this generation, we've never really had to fight physically for anything. Most of it's been verbal, which that's more a predominantly female orientated endeavour, isn't it?
I've been in a few situations which fortunately did not go badly, but had the severe potential to go badly on like nights out, where I was on a night out once, and every time I say this I get really angry. The girls were at the time. She was dancing over here with her friends. I was asking him and my friends, fuck me, my heart rate's already high. Jesus.
I don't even know the story. Yeah.
And
I can feel the tension.
oh, I don't. Every time I even start talking about it, I get like adrenaline again. So she's also her mates. I'm with my mates. She's over there, and these three guys, who we noticed at the beginning of the night, like start talking to her or whatever. And she goes to move away, and one of them grabs her and yanks her back towards them.
What?
And so I dive across the
Yeah.
dance floor, shove her out of the way, and pick this guy up by the neck and shove him against the wall.
Yeah.
So first instinct, kill.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All
Slightly,
logic goes out the window. Though.
slightly tempered by worrying about her, like where is she,
Yeah,
what's
of course.
going on with that. Fortunately, a whole like rugby team of strangers like dove in and broke everything apart,
Yeah.
picked me and her up, and like marched us upstairs where they babysat us for the next hour. So like, these random strangers just like looked after us, and I was like, "This is awesome." but at the time, I was like, "I'm just seeing red." I was just like, for about 20 minutes, I was there just like tunnel vision, like.
Quite right. Yeah.
But I don't think enough people have, fortunately or unfortunately, have been in that situation. Like that was a really close call. That could have been horrible.
Well, it's fight or flight situation, isn't it? And I know a lot of people. Isn't it fight, flight, or freeze? And a lot of people.
Yes, either those three.
Freeze.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
take off.
As soon as I think I was just straight in.
Don't think. Just get.
I didn't. I literally had no control of anything. But it was just the point I'm making is that it was the worrying about her. Because I couldn't completely focus on this, and I've had this with other females I've been around in weird situations like this, where 40% of my brain is worrying about her.
Yeah.
Like, where is she? I just need her to get the hell out of the way. Like, I had this at work the other day with a guy who was like really, really aggressive towards one of my female colleagues, and I was like, I was saying to her, go out the back, go out the back, go out the back, and she wouldn't leave. And I was like, you need to leave because I'm worried about you. I can't focus on him. Like, even though I stood between the two of you, I was like, you need to leave because I can't properly deal with this guy in whatever form it's going to be, whether it's talking him down or defending myself. If I'm worried about you, you're going to get me hurt. And she just wouldn't listen. I was like, you don't understand. You need to go away, kind of thing.
Yeah, because I'm focusing on you. I can't focus on.
Exactly. My attention is split because I'm worrying about what's going on with you. Every time. Oh, god damn it.
But no, it is I suppose a very male or masculine trait.
And that's
in history
not
is that
appreciated
we're-
anymore.
No.
Which is so dangerous because the only people who are going to suffer from this are women.
I know, it's ridiculous really in those situations, but that's why, I think, especially for males like ourselves, we need to help push each other forward and because there's a lot of guys these days that wouldn't defend themselves or can't physically just because they don't even
Look
work
after
out,
themselves.
don't look after themselves, they don't eat right. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a big lad, but I wouldn't have a problem with.
Since I've known you, you are bigger significantly.
Well, so I think I've put on about 82 kilos now.
You've put on 82 kilos.
No,
well done, mate. Well done.
I think about 6 months ago I was about 68 kilos. So I've done.
Fuck me.
So I've
Yeah,
done
fair
14
play.
kilos in about 6 months, which is not bad. I'd like to see that progression go forward over the next 6 months. But obviously,
Nah, you
it's
don't want
like almost impossible. But
Yeah.
the target is to get to 90.
Oh, I could get you there, but you wouldn't want it.
It's the eating is the hard part.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You got to force feed yourself.
Force feeding 4 meals a day. It's not. The working out is not the issue. I love working out, so that's fine. But
Well,
it's
what you
the
gotta do,
physical eating
What you do, mate, is 30 grams of protein at 9, 12, 3 and 6.
sounds easy. In practice,
If you have just that,
Yeah.
it is because it's effectively like an elimination diet. Like you'd have literally just coffee, water, black coffee, water, protein every 3 hours, and nothing else. And it just strips the nonsense off you. Like I haven't worked out in like 2 months,
yeah.
and I'm like bigger, if anything,
Yeah.
which doesn't make any sense.
They got rid of the fat, but you just built the muscle.
Yeah, because it's just like, oh, we're feeding stuff that's gonna maintain. I'm like, cool, nice.
No, that's one thing I wish I liked. I don't like coffee, unfortunately.
Really?
No, yeah, I've never.
Oh,
I
bless.
just don't like the taste.
Caffeine. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you don't need it.
Yeah.
It's coffee is fascinating because people use it, myself included, overuse it. But the if you don't have it and then consume it as a pre-workout, the benefits, it's like what was it? It's either 300 to 900% increase in performance.
Really?
It's
Well, yeah. So I never understood
mental.
it when I started going to the gym. But you always see like the gym bros
Yeah.
drinking like a Monster or something before, and I'm thinking, surely that can't be good.
It's too much liquid. If you have like half of that, then
Yeah.
there's a benefit. But because there's so much liquid going in, it's from like pre-workout shakes. I usually about that much.
Oh really?
Yeah, because that's just too much.
Yeah. No, that's a bit.
And Monster is my favourite drink.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it is the worst thing on the market. It's so bad.
How it's allowed to be sold, I'm not sure.
Oh, it's because the flavours are so good, and there's like 20 of them now. It's so good.
Is there?
They're so tasty.
I haven't seen all the different flavours, but
We'll have a Monster.
a Monster.
One of these ones I did with my mate Jake, and I laid out. It was on when I had a bigger table.
Yeah.
I laid out coffee machine at the end, beers, and like 6 different types of Monster, and we just went through the whole lot. It was so fucking dangerous because it's just over subscribed on sugar, alcohol, and caffeine. It was so good.
That's mad. But no, yeah, there's there is too much shit out there on the market these days, and that's one thing I've tried to avoid on my sort of health journey. When I started my business, I'll be honest, I abused myself. I didn't, I'm not with drugs or anything like that, but I didn't eat properly. I've never been a breakfast fan myself, so I never really used to eat breakfast. But then I'd be working so flat out that I'd be like, oh, it's 1 o'clock. Oh, I'll get some food in a minute, and then you think, oh, I'll do the next thing. I'll do the next thing. By the time it's 4 o'clock, and then you finish your work at 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, and you have a 1 meal a day, and then over time, it massively affects not only your physical appearance, that's all right, but your mental appearance. Sorry, your mental capacity.
No, I like mental appearance. We'll work with that.
Mental appearance.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a good name, actually. Mental appearance.
I'm not sure what it means, but
it's a good band name.
Yeah, that sounds
Mental
Maybe
appearance.
we should switch it up.
Yeah, I'll write it down. I'll put pen and paper somewhere.
But health is a big thing, and the food on the market these days is most of it's just poison, isn't it?
It's yes and no. I'm coming around to the idea that there are no intrinsically good and bad foods.
Monster.
Depends what you're using it for. If
Coca-Cola are going to be killing us for this.
like if you tell me about it. Whatever you consume, it's good and bad for you depending on your requirements and what your workload is. If you're like do you remember a guy in our school called Elko?
No.
6'8", like massive guy.
Huge geezer.
Huge guy, and he was a rugby player and a rower, and he was doing both every day. So his caloric requirements was, I think, about 6,500 a day. So for him, having like 3 pizzas a day, crack on, mate. That's exactly what you need, because he's just burning it all off straight away, and he needs all those carbs and all that energy and everything. For me, that would kill me in like 2 days.
Yeah, because you're not burning it off.
I don't need it.
No,
yeah,
exactly.
I'm not his size.
And it's just staying, I guess staying within your body.
Yeah, I'm not as big as him. I'm not as tall. I'm not as muscular. I'm not working as hard. So I don't need it.
Yeah. I was reading. I was on a podcast the other day, and it was saying, especially because our food, or the food on the market has changed so much over the last 100 years. Is that or even though I made a point of saying that a lot of it is, say, poison, he's saying, well, as long as most of it's still based on proteins and sugars, etc., which your body can digest. As long as your body can digest it, do you think it really cares? Back when you were a caveman, however long ago, 5,000 years ago, our brains and our bodies haven't really evolved or changed that much since then. So if you're hungry and your body needs sustenance, is like a deep fried chicken. Yeah. some fried chicken or something like that. Is it really going to be that bad for your body? Because your body needs it. As long as it uses the elements within that chicken, and then just deposits the rest that it can't digest, then is it really bad for you?
It's a good question.
And that was the point, is that as long as you've got the proteins and the sugars that you need, and it's not a physical poison, and you're not consuming it day in, day out, clogging your body up with whatever it is that you can't digest, then is it really that bad?
Good question.
And that's my argument for eating deep fried chicken.
We're going to clip that. That'll be the title card for this episode.
Yeah, KFC.
Start doing little episodes like that. There's little videos like that. No, it's entirely up to whatever you need it for. Like if you're having a chocolate bar, and you're just sitting on the sofa watching TV, you don't need it. But like today, I had a protein shake for breakfast, protein shake for lunch. I didn't get a break today because I had to go get my car serviced and MOT, so that's why I did on my break. So I hadn't stopped all day.
Yeah.
But I bought a Twix on the way back from that, ate the whole thing, and I was like, that's exactly what I needed. Because this morning was mental.
Yeah.
Like, it was just insanity. And I was like, yeah, I was running around like a crazy person. My Whoopers told me I was running around like a crazy person. Before I did a workout, that's how high my heart rate was. And I was like, yeah, I needed that sugar. So, perfect. Yeah, absolutely fine. Whereas if it was a boring day and I ate 2 chocolate bars, I'd be like, okay, I'm fucked. And my stomach's going to be like, I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah. No, yeah. Who knows? I'm not a dietitian, so.
No, well, my when I was like really young, my mum used to work for Microsoft, and then she left to have my 2 other sisters, and just never went back. But she, whilst at home with us, she retrained to be a nutritionist. So we then became her guinea pigs for every day since.
Yeah.
So that's been really interesting growing up with that and trying different stuff.
Well, yeah, that's been quite handy actually.
It's really interesting. Obviously, she's great because she never pushes anything on us unless we ask her.
Yeah.
Obviously, as we're grown up now, but she never does it. Like at the time, she was like, "Oh, try this, Matt. Try that. I'm trying this recipe. I'm trying that recipe. We're gonna skip this meal, or we're gonna add this snack, or whatever." So she's always experimenting with us, which was at the time annoying because you're a kid. You know, I just want to eat sweets and crisps all the time. And she was like, "You only get that once a week on a Friday," and you're like, "Oh."
Which you think, as a kid, you resent, don't you? But
you resent, but
when you grow up, you realise that it's
that taught me delayed gratification.
Yeah.
That one thing she did taught me that.
Which you need in your younger years to realise how to develop it and control it yourself.
You need to suffer as a kid to be able to actually appreciate it as an adult.
Be careful how we say that word as a kid.
Suffer is fine. I'm not saying being
Depends
abused.
how you're being
I'm not saying being abused. There's a very specific thing. It's a difference here, Max.
But no. So I was reading this thing the other day about how, although we're all humans, we're all the same. We
are
all. We're all one gender these days. No, that our physiology are different. And I think you made the point earlier is that each of us, through our own experiences of what we've, our diet and what we've eaten, we're deficient in certain things, and maybe I've got too much in other things. It's like a blood test, and you send it away, and they'll tell you exactly what you're deficient in and what you're overeating and whatever like that, which I thought would be a really interesting concept. And
do you know what was on the list I couldn't have?
Go on. Red wine, really? What? Because you drank too much of it, or
I just
your
thought it was bad for me. It just doesn't work with it.
Doesn't work with you.
I was like, "Fuck you! I'm drinking it."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to have a few things you enjoy in life.
I haven't had this since New Year's, so I don't care.
Exactly, that's right. And you don't drink a lot anyway, do you? So.
Nah, just only stuff like this.
Yeah.
We should do this every day.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You drink every day, it's fine, isn't it?
It's fine.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Sorry I interrupted you, my apologies.
No, it's fine. No, crack on. I think I was done with my point. It's just
okay. It was a good point.
Yeah. I just think it'd be interesting to give that a go and just see what it's like.
No, it is really good.
And from your experience, I'm assuming you've probably done something like that.
It was very accurate. My mum sort of has kind of taught herself, not taught herself. She's qualified nutritionist in all the proper channels. She also qualified as a kinesiologist, which is
that's an interesting word. What does that even mean?
What is the actual definition? I don't know what the actual definition is, but basically she can work out what you are intolerant to based upon...
That was my point about the blood test. Because people, they always ask you when you go to the hospital or anything like that, are you allergic to anything? And I've never had an allergic reaction to something, so I've always said no. But one day, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, bam, you're allergic to something.
So what it is, again, I'm going to butcher this because I'm not qualified in it, but from what I understand, she is able to identify what you are intolerant to,
Mhm.
based upon just having that particular item
Or the proteins in your body.
held against like a joint. So she's.
What do you mean, like on your body, not like a?
Oh yeah, you know, everyone needs a split. But no,
just hold it up against a joint and it will.
yeah. So the idea of kinesiology, how it works is that you would so like just like a massage table. So you basically lie on that on your back, and she'd get you to either hold your arm up straight and then lower it down, or she'd get you to lift your knee up to your chest and then or hold your leg up straight and then lift it up and down or whatever. And depending on what, she'd then have these little capsules of different types of food, and she'd hold that to the joint, and then depending on what the capsule was, your leg, if it works for you, your leg will stay strong, or your arm will stay strong. If it doesn't work for you, it will go weak.
Sounds like witchcraft.
She is a fucking wizard. It is bizarre because it works. It's so strange.
Gender neutral wizard.
No. A masculine bearded wizard. It's so weird. But like loads of her like principles just like work. It's so bizarre. I don't understand it, but all I know is that it works. It's very strange.
And you're quite a skeptical person, so
I'm not skeptical. I just won't believe it till I see it.
that's what I mean. And,
Yeah.
And if you
I've been the test dummy for it, and just it is fascinating. It's so interesting because there's one doctor I listened to who's basically saying that bar like 2 or 3 things, everybody's different.
Yeah.
Every single body acts differently. And I was like, fuck. It's like, how the hell does like medical practice
Well, that's
exist?
why people always like gobsmacked when they go to the doctors and the doctors can't give them an exact answer of what needs to be done. You're like, well, we are all different. Even
The human body is insanely complex.
Yeah.
Insane.
It's a mental machine, isn't it?
And people don't want to spend the mental bandwidth considering bio-individuality, particularly when it comes to exercise and food. Because people want to be like, oh, it works for me, it works for everyone,
Just give
so
me a pill.
vegan.
Yeah.
And you're like, no. And other people are like, carnivore. And you're like, no. It's like everyone's different.
Yeah.
So you've got to
Some
find it for
people,
yourself.
The carnivore diet will work.
Yeah.
And other people,
It will kill you.
the vegan diet will work. And synergy in the middle.
Some people who don't react well to a vegan diet are hilarious to watch because they're just like skeletons.
Yeah.
It's real bad.
A lot of people, they don't get enough iron, do they? So they bruise from a flick. Like,
Yeah.
So
And you can get all the protein you need from broccoli, and you're like, no, you fucking can't.
it's not the same.
You'd eat a basket full of it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
But no, so in terms of, things that you want to talk about, is anything?
Hey, I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
I deliberately try and comb into these conversations with nothing in my head,
Yeah.
and just start asking my guests a question and then just go from there.
Interesting.
It's interesting how I noticed that if you're completely in the moment with this, because there's no concept of time. Like, so if there was no clock on that, I'd have no idea what time, how long we've been here, or what time it is. But also, that's if because you're focusing so much on what someone's saying, you're there like they'll say something, you're like, oh, you can follow this path this way, and then, I can follow this path this way.
Yeah.
Like the things you were talking about earlier with books, I was in my head, I was like, I can ask that question, this question, this question, this question, and I asked none of them, and I just asked the last one because the last thing you said. But it's because you're consciously paying attention to how you're speaking, how you're being heard. It's a very interesting thought experiment. Besides the quality of whatever the fuck is going on with this, I don't know what's happening. But it's a very interesting just experiment in your thoughts and how you react to people's conversation and stuff.
But especially with the social media era that we're in, it's all, as you say, instant gratification and instant conversations, whereas most people can't really even hold a sentence these days, let alone hold a 2-3 hour conversation.
I don't know how much that is true. I don't know whether I wouldn't really say that was true on my experience. Whether it's
I could
because
say out of sort of my friends, there's probably like 4 people I could probably say you could have or maybe I haven't had a flat out 4-hour conversation. But
you need better friends.
yeah, exactly. That's true.
I had what was it? So lockdown 2020 for my birthday in the summer. I had all my mates over here. Sorry, everyone, I broke the rules, but I had like 30 of us here. And
What's your name, Boris?
yeah, That's like, well, you got to learn from learn from the best. But he started off with one mate talking about something in the kitchen, and he was like, I'm really concerned about this. And I was like, you talk to me. You don't need to be concerned about it. He was like, no, it's not right. It's this. I was like, it's fine. And then one mate came in to get a drink, and he was like, what are you talking about? So I told him, and he was like, oh no, I think this. I was like, that's a really interesting point. Another mate came in to get a drink. What are you talking about? Oh, this. And he just kept adding until like everyone was like crowded in the kitchen, just having this insanely intense, like deep discussion that individual people would take turn like holding court. Like whoever was speaking at the time, everyone else was dead silent, and we weren't even that drunk, and it was amazing. I think I said it at the time. I was like, this is the reason we are alive, because we've known, all of us here have known each other since we were like 11, and you
bounce off each other, don't you?
Yeah, and we're all still friends because we have those shared values, overlapping values, and we come in to have these conversations. I was like, I have that like once a year on my birthday. I get everyone together, and we do that, and it's fucking magical.
Yeah.
Like just it's utterly insanity sometimes, but it's brilliant. I was like, it's ineffable. It's just, it cannot be described about what it is and what it means to be alive in those situations. Like it's just.
And it's not till a couple of hours afterwards you really think about it, is it?
Well, it's the epitome of existence, because it's just like I love every single one of you here.
Living in the moment.
What's like you and I right now is like, this is entirely in the moment. There's no concept of past, present, or past or future. There's just this exact time right here. Which I think is fascinating about this, because it takes
a conversation.
Yeah, and it takes something that is a conversation we'd have anyway, and lends it gravitas somehow.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah. Sorry, I went off on a bit something there.
No, that's fine, mate. I think it was interesting to hear. It's nice to hear, different points.
When you get passionate about things, it's everyone's passionate about different things. It's just finding what it is for different people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that was interesting, and I appreciate obviously inviting me on here to have a chat about things. As I said, we quite often have these conversations, between ourselves.
We're a little bit closer to you. There you go. Lovely.
Mic check.
There you are. Check.
But we often have these conversations.
Yes. Yeah.
Between ourselves anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting to try and put it out there and see if anybody else has the same concepts and ideas and values and principles, really.
I mean, you want to attract like-minded people, because there's something beautiful about the camaraderie. I forgot to ask you guys, did you have fun when you came to see us the other night?
Yes, no, it was brilliant. So, and again, I don't know if you guys know, Matt's obviously in a band. And,
to be fair, I haven't done one of these since I started playing with them, so yeah, now I'm playing with a new bunch of lads here.
Yep, and what's the band called?
We are the Midnight Specials. Check us out on any... Hang on, let me just do this. We are the Midnight Specials. Check us out on any social media platform. We are the Midnight Special Band at Instagram. Something like that, yeah?
That sounded pretty professional.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for your radio DJ.
And I've seen them twice now, and I'll be honest, they're good.
I appreciate it, mate. Thank you. Thank you again for coming.
All four of you are really good showmen, which is...
Mate, Robbie's how he opened the second set, I was like, you fucking god. I was like, this is so good.
Yeah. And considering, you've only been playing at sort of the smaller gigs, like the turnout you've had has been...
That was insane.
Like barely anyone could move.
Yeah, that was insane. So many. I couldn't see the bar.
Yeah, which is really nice, John.
Yeah.
The music's good. The covers were good, but I think you played 3 or 4 of your own songs, which
4. Yeah.
I think 2 of them I'd heard before, which I thought were brilliant. I'm not.
Thanks, man.
I made a comment of saying before, it's not really my type of music, but like when you listen to a good song, no matter whether it's your type of music or not, you're like, wow, this is
true.
This is a banger.
Yeah.
So I wish you guys all the best of luck, and I'll
we're
come and see you again soon, definitely.
Well, yeah, hopefully. I mean, we've got nothing but. This is a baffling experience for me, because where we are now, I've been playing with these boys for 6 months, and it took my previous band like 5 years to get to the same place. I'm just like, this is bizarre. I do not understand this at all. Like, we haven't had, in my old band, we probably got paid 3-4 times over like 6 years. This band, we've been paid since the first one.
Well, you can see the talent, in every aspect, from the bass to the guitar, to lead singer, to drummer. Do you know what I mean? Like, I myself.
Yeah, drummer, what twat.
Yeah, he's a bit of a wanker. But I said to you before, like, I played drums when I was younger, so I relate more to the the drum side of things. But when you see Max, on lead guitar,
he's good.
He's passionate
He's
about
good.
it, and that transfers through to his talent.
Well, he's specifically an arsehole as well because he only started playing like 2 years ago.
Oh, that's even more.
I'm like, you're such a
Yeah.
prick. Yeah, Max, you're a fucking prick, mate.
But I do, he's obviously smashing it. He obviously
so
loves
good.
what he does and
So good.
enjoys it. Same as Robbie.
Yeah.
He what I loved about you guys is, you're always gonna have issues, especially when it's just you guys doing it yourself. You're always gonna have issues.
Stories I can tell you.
And you always end up rocking them out. Do you know what I mean? Like either having a bit of, putting a bit of a comedic spin on it, so that, you keep the crowd going, or a couple of times where you have like sound issues or something like that. You just play a bit of jazz, which I thought was good, and then even down to the bass. He bloody loves it, doesn't he?
Oh mate, he literally put in his bass amp and his guitars, he put lights on it that morning.
I did see that. Yeah, I was like,
he was like,
that's a nice little touch.
I'm trying this out, and we were like, you idiot, and everyone was like, yeah. So we were like, all right, fair enough.
Obviously, because from the front,
it
obviously just glows.
Yeah, it looks sick, doesn't it?
Look good, yeah. Whether it was made it harder to play, I don't know.
Good question. I wonder. Yeah, from the back, I was like, you look like an idiot, but I was like, oh, it's not for me. Oh, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
It's for the crowd. Don't worry.
That was very good fun. He had a pint on his speaker, and he played so much it shot the mic, shot the glass off, and it shattered on the floor. And I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, that's not what you want, is it?
No, considering it landed on a plug, I was like, this is a problem.
Yeah, halfway through the set as well.
Yeah, I was like, fuck.
And so when's the next one?
13th of March. So, well, a week on Monday, we are recording our
First LP?
first EP rather.
EP, sorry. I don't know the difference between an EP
LP is a vinyl. An EP is just, it could be a vinyl CD.
Yeah.
It's a half album, effectively.
Okay, nice.
I don't know, it's a something press, electronic press.
Something like that. Sounds about right. We'll do it right.
And I'm in the industry, I have no idea. And then we have our hometown Purple Turtle gig, 13th of March.
The big one.
I aim to have this out on Wednesday the 28th. 28th? No, not 28th, that's a Tuesday. Wednesday the 22nd.
Yeah.
Is when I aim to have this episode out. So yeah, it'll be 2 weeks after that. 3 weeks after that.
Excellent. So on Monday.
It's a Monday, which is a weird choice, but I understand it now because it's Skin Mondays. So
That's
it's
what I
uni
was
night.
going to say, yeah, it's uni night, so that's going to be the big one.
Absolutely, depending on what time we're on. But it's going to be interesting, that one, because we have to do 40 minutes of originals, which is interesting, and we've been churning them out. I
What's that,
can't.
like 9 songs?
Yeah, roughly 8 with a little bit of filler.
Yeah.
So we're
A
at
bit of jazz in between.
we're at 6 at the minute.
So you got to ding out some more.
Make 2 more in 3 weeks.
But again, going back to the concept we discussed previously, I can imagine the pressure creates that flow state.
It's
that builds the necessity to, produce the songs.
It's funny. It depends on what
That
it is.
time scale thing. I was talking about a time scale.
Time scale for
So if you
me,
didn't have a time scale, would you?
I'd never get it done.
Yeah. Would you ever get it done?
No.
Or would you have made these 9 songs over 12 months rather than just cramming them into?
Nope. Yep. For me,
5 weeks.
From a very early age, my parents put me in martial arts, which
It's a lot of self-control.
created, well, not self-control.
Teaches self-control.
It had an external accountability.
Yeah.
If I have an internal accountability, I'm gonna be like, well, it's me, so I don't care.
Yeah.
Or no, it's me, so I can do it whenever I want because I don't have to account to myself. It's not that I don't care, it's just I can do it whenever I want.
Yeah.
If it's an external accountability, I'm like, oh shit, they give me a deadline, they've given it to me, I've got to do what they say, kind of thing. So I work best to a deadline created by someone else. So yeah, 100%. If someone said to me, yeah, you need to be writing a song for next week, I'd be like, shit, okay, I've got to write a song now. Whereas someone was like, write a song whenever, I'll be like, okay, I'll do it whenever then.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you're right. I mean, for this thing, I mean, I saw the boys on Tuesday, so that was 5 days ago, and we wrote a song. There you go.
Just donned it out.
Smashed it out. I was like, cool, nice. See you in a week. Do it again. Yeah, cool.
Start again. But then again, when you've got that pressure on you,
Just pull it a little bit closer to him.
when you've got that pressure on you, and I guess throughout the week, randomly things just be coming to you when you're, in work or in the middle of something or blah blah blah. And I guess you just got to write it down
Yeah,
and
true.
just push them forward
Mhm.
for when you're with the lads.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, with me, I haven't as of yet sat down and actually properly tried to write something. Well, like I was talking about earlier, when I was writing at the piano, those little like tunes. So I've got like 6 or 7 of them, but they're only like 30 seconds long. Which is not to say they're not something, but it's nothing like Max and Robbie are brilliant at like lyrics.
Yeah. But then with that 30 seconds, as you say, that's your first step, and then you build from there, can't you?
Oh yeah, true. I mean, if you look at some songs, like I've listened to a lot of the Black Keys recently, and for them, like Golden Ceiling or like a Wild Child, it's like you just repeat a bar for the whole song, and they are bangers.
Yeah.
Like, they're so good. It's so good, and it's just the structure and the words of the lyrics are what makes it different as you go along.
Well, especially have the chorus. A lot of songs have like 3 choruses, don't they? And then 3 verses.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
So then once you've got the chorus, that's going to be itself. And
Yeah.
I guess you just build the verses. A lot of them are like stories, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
In a
yes,
way.
some songs, by their very simplicity, is what makes them so brilliant. Particularly if it's something that's memorable that you could like sing along with.
Yeah.
Like with my previous band, Handstand Parade, still on Spotify,
Get out of
we had a song called One More, which is our, not the first one, is it the first one? The first single we released. And at the time we were like, yeah, that's whatever, we'll move on to something else. But we kept coming back to it and being like, this is actually like the best thing we've ever done.
and developing it. Yeah.
Because it was so simple, and like if people knew the song, you could sing along to all of it because it's so simple. There's no
Catchy, yeah.
complexity to it at all. But it's just like this really like flowing drone, and just like you just repeat the choruses. I know you want more, like 4 times, and then the verse you repeat twice. And that's it.
Well, as long as you got a great beat.
Yeah, it was. We've heard endless people say that's your best one. When we were like, really? Because that's our first one. We were like, we've done better since then. And then you actually over time be like, I know they were right because it was so simple.
And again, I suppose it comes down to a lot of things. If you're more musically experienced than say Joe Bloggs, you'll think, well, look, this is a better composition based on my knowledge. But then Joe Bloggs is thinking, I don't really understand that concept. So
well, that's
the simple one is the one that I relate to most, which is the one that's most enjoyable.
What musicians need to remember is that your audience, for the most part, are not musicians.
Yeah.
They're not going to give a shit
So
if
they
you
don't
use
know
an
about
E minor
complexity.
diminished 7th more than they care about that sounds pretty
that
good.
means. Like,
You see, yeah. Yeah,
No.
well, they're not going to care if you hit a rise cymbal versus a crash cymbal. They'll be like, as long as it sounds good, I don't know what it is. As long as it sounds good, who gives a fuck?
and you're enjoying it.
Yeah, well, ignorance is bliss. It's a fucking true statement.
Yeah.
Because you'll enjoy something more because you don't understand it.
Well, so what have you got in the future? What does the future hold for the Handstand Parade? Well, nothing, because the Handstand Parade is
Do you
dead.
want to try that again?
What does the future hold for Midnight Special?
That's all right. Well, just don't think. Oh, I'm such a fucking idiot. I've got a stack of coasters right there. I'm using the wrong coasters. I'm such an idiot. Fucking moron.
Let's get them and chuck them.
Yeah, let's just switch them over. You got the business cards, so help yourself to one of those.
No, we
Nancy.
should start these from the beginning.
Yeah, a couple of them. Yeah. We should spin the whole thing. Let's start again.
There we go.
There we go. Like that. There we go. And this should be my title card, just a Midnight Specials coaster. There we go.
Get that in the back there.
Yeah, there you go.
Bit of advertising.
There you go. Lovely. Well done, everyone.
Should have asked me for my commercial experience first.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, for us, we at the end of last year, we were saying, because last year we cranked out like quite a lot of shows, and we were like, this is a lot of work. Trying to do that with our day jobs is like, because Max is another Max is yet another business owner.
Yeah.
So he was like, this is a bit of an ask.
Yeah.
So we basically set ourselves the goal of 1 show a month, which we've done up until September. So we've got and they've all just kind of snowballed. So we're Kilburn Arms. We're back again on the 8th of April.
Yes.
So we're going back. So we're getting
hit it up.
hit them up. So yeah, we're going to go back there. So I'll make another thing out of it. Hello. So make another thing out of that. That's the 8th of April. Before that, we've got 13th of March. We have Purple Turtle and Reading. End of April, we have a wedding. In May, we have a wedding. June, we've got a festival. July, we've got a festival. August, another festival. So it's just like fucking hell.
Reading Festival, yeah?
In the works. We have a plan for that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what it is. I'll tell you in a minute. But yeah, we have a plan for that. Don't worry about it.
Okay, that'll be good fun.
Yeah.
I'll have to actually get a ticket.
Depending on our plan. I'll tell you more in a minute. I'll tell you more.
Say no more.
I'm not saying
It's a
any more
secret
than that.
for
Yeah, depends on how the plan works out.
Well, maybe should we get into maybe some more pertinent topics
Yeah, let's do it. What do you
Well,
fancy?
that may arouse some
Bring it quite close to your face. Get close to the mic.
terribleness?
There's a
Kind of
podcast
sick
I listen to where they have the two hosts and then one of the hosts is a niece, and she's on a mic as well. And every episode they're like, "Get closer to the mic."
I feel like I'm breathing into it. What's going on? Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's all you can hear. Like the sound of my lips moving.
Yeah, it's nice, man. You get nice sort of like breathy undertones,
It's wonderful.
overtones, currents.
Whatever.
I don't know. What do you fancy?
Well,
Yeah,
let's go for a bit more of the port, shall we?
yes. Do you want some more water, sir?
I'll grab some more water while I'm here. Why not? No, thank you. I'll grab the bottle, shall I?
Bottle.
I've got some.
You have a bottle of water?
Of course I do.
You do? Oh yeah, you got your bag of goodies I haven't seen yet.
That's just.
Oh
a
fuck
meal.
me, yeah, that'll
I
do.
don't want to get too excited. It's just a meal now.
I appreciate the fact that I'm getting more tipsy than you are, but that's fair enough.
Do you want some more water?
Yes, please, sir.
There we go. Now, anybody who knows me
Lovely.
knows that I've always got a bottle of water with me.
A bottle of water. See, I need to be better at being hydrated than I currently am. It's not particularly good. You know, like, you've had like a glass of this, and I've had most of the bottle.
Jeez. Let's get some in then, shall we?
Yeah. Well, what do you think of it?
Yeah, it's good. It's probably a bit more full bodied than I would. You know, my palate would enjoy.
Well, I did. What I was trying to find for you, I was trying to find something which was called the yellow tail jammy red root. So the brand is yellow tail. They do different things. It's got like a newt or a lizard on the front.
Yeah.
But it's a lot like it's a little bit fruitier than the bottle you and I had for dinner the other month.
I had one of those on Tuesday.
That was a good bottle of wine. It's a good
I
Malbec.
drank it very quickly.
It's nice, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it was dangerous.
Oh, I know where you and I need to go next.
Go on.
Buen Sardo,
Sounds fancy, was that?
Argentinian steakhouse next to Hugo Boss in town.
Oh, what? Yes, I know. Just by Reese.
But we're just by Reese, yeah, because last time I went was, it's about 65, 75 a head. It's fucking good though.
What, just for a start? Just for
Yeah.
a main, sorry.
It's just for it's a bottle of water.
Sounds like my kind of place.
Exactly, yeah. No, we went for this sharing platter, but the sharing platter had tasting platter rather, which was a cut of each part of the cow. So you had the sirloin, the ribeye, the rump, and the fillet. So you had each of those there, and you could choose whether it was 50 grams of each or 100. Obviously, we went for 100 each, so you get 400 grams of like just steak.
Yeah.
A bottle of
Pure
Argentinian.
protein.
Pretty much a bottle of Argentinian Malbec and like a pot of jalapenos. So fucking good.
I bet, yeah.
Which
Staying.
and I'm breaking the cardinal rule of setting expectations right now, because if you set expectations high, by setting them high, you've released dopamine appropriate to that expectation. Okay. So then
Gonna ruin it.
actually having it, your expectation is already, your levels are already high. So whatever experience you actually have can't meet there. It's already hit.
Undersell and over deliver.
Very good, very good.
But you did it the wrong way around.
I fucked up.
Well, we don't know.
I'm tipsy. Fuck you, mate.
Yeah. Well, we'll let you off.
Yeah, thanks, man.
But we don't know yet. We haven't tried it. You could have still undersold.
It's actually shit. I'm sorry, mate. Yeah, I mean, you can go for one if you have to. If you insist, you know.
Then I probably wouldn't want to go, would I? So
no, pretty much.
Yeah, it's difficult.
You need to be like, you should try it. And then once they go, you'll be like, right, you're like, it's fucking good.
It's a good shit. It's a good shit.
What did you wish to speak of? Oh, just so to give you an idea, we have been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes, brother.
Jesus, that's a long time. It's a long time chatting shit.
I know. How's it feel? How long does it feel like we've been going for?
Not long at all.
It's crazy, isn't it?
You're so used to just chatting shit then you don't even notice it.
Well, I mean, it's for me. I can certainly attribute a certain percentage of it to the fact that I'm a little bit merry.
Mhm.
Obviously, for yourself, as more sober than I am, it's just interesting to know that time passes quickly for you as well.
Well, I thought, for my first experience, I probably had better not drink. Sorry. Hello.
Just bring it closer to you. Just be comfortable. We'll bring it closer. Okay. Yeah, try
But
it.
then I feel like it's all over me.
Yeah, but it sounds. I can hear you
Well,
better that way.
that's
Otherwise you're like this. I'm like, what's he saying? What? Yeah.
But I thought, for my first experience, it's
Yeah,
probably
you're
not
right.
a
That
good
shit. A
idea.
little bit.
That's what I mean. Yes. Very,
there you go.
very close.
Yeah, that's perfect. There you go.
Perfect. Good.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Let's repeat this sentence again.
Just be comfortable.
I'm comfortable.
Okay, that's fine.
Sure. But yeah, so I'm not going to drink too much on the first go.
That's fine.
Maybe a few guys in, I think. Let's get a bit merry.
Yeah, I mean, my first one was.
I've seen a few podcasts before where people go on and they're absolutely hammered, and I mean it's quite funny to be fair.
Some are brilliant. My favourite ones to watch is a Joe Rogan one when he does it with a bunch of his comedian friends, and they get obliterated over like 4 hours.
Or drunk. Or...
It's drunk, high, everything. They're they're on mushrooms. Like, what the fuck? It's so funny.
Concept, yeah.
Well, because they're professionally funny,
Yeah.
and then you just add alcohol to it. It's like, this is even better.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, a load of comedians in the room getting fucked up.
Dude, imagine me and the band doing this, all 4 of us.
What on the mics?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Oh, it
You
will
guys
be.
bounce off each other so well,
It will be. I've seen the setting for it. It's the space as
and
well.
some more mics and some more cameras.
Uh,
Funding.
the problem I need with the cameras, the camera wise is fine. If I have another one, I need someone else to control the cameras.
Editor.
Yeah, so because you can have it as a live stream between two, and then whoever's you can either have it so you have
Another
several.
mic, but anonymous.
Well, I've got plenty of mics, plenty of stands, plenty of headphones, all fine. The issue I've got, if I have more cameras, I've either got to have several cameras up and do the exact same thing we're doing now, and then when I edit it, I've got to manually flip, or which takes fucking ages if it's like several hours long, or you have someone doing it live where they flip from camera to camera.
Yeah.
So I need someone who's completely out of it that's doing that.
I suppose that'd be probably better for editing as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, because you're doing it on the spot, so it's like I just put down what was done there. But yeah, you can't do that off an iPhone. You can't flip
Yeah.
just because it's how they're plugged in. If it's like a proper, well, I've got a list of exactly what I need to get like the optimum podcast experience. That's so much money.
Yeah.
Like even the chairs are like 800 quid.
For what? For one chair?
Yeah, because they're proper ergonomic chairs that are
Yeah.
built in like the human skeleton
Yeah.
sat down.
Yeah.
So that means you're not, because if you do this every day, this chair will cripple you because it's not built for that. It's built for like dinner for like half an hour.
Mate, what you need is something like. Do you watch Just Pearly Things?
No.
She's fantastic, mate. She's a podcaster.
Yeah.
She's gone from, I think in the last year, like nothing to like 1.5 million subscribers.
Just Pearly Thing.
Just Pearly Things, yeah. It sounds a bit if, but it's
A
not.
little
It's not, honestly. Her name's Pearl, so that's where.
Clever. It's Harping On.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
there
a
you
good
go.
concept, and she basically, I think she just rents like apartments.
Cool.
And then everyone's just like sat on the sofas and
That's
chairs
banging.
around and stuff.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
cool.
It's a good little studio she's got there.
Yeah.
She does a lot of the live streams and stuff like that, which
Yeah.
sort of pop off. But it's no, she's good. They've got a lot of interest in, and she'll have like 10 people on,
Whoa.
which does get a bit.
That's too much.
Yeah, it gets a
Yeah,
bit.
that's too much.
Sometimes like people are like arguing over each other, and she
Yeah.
like kicks off. She's like, right, this is my podcast.
Yeah.
Do not interrupt me.
You're,
If I'm talking, you better be quiet.
it's not even her, just in general, you can't
Yeah.
interrupt each other. Like, I know I interrupted you a few times now, which I apologise, but I'm a little bit rusty.
But we stop when like each one of us talking.
I look at my first ever episode, first 2 or 3, I'm speaking way too quick and I'm interrupting constantly. I'm there like, oh, you fucking asshole! Like it's so bad. I don't know. I wasn't using headphones. That was the thing. I couldn't hear.
But it's a progression thing as well. As we,
Mm.
who is it? I can't remember where I read this from. But it said if you're happy with your first iteration of something,
Ugh.
then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you shouldn't be happy with the first thing
Mhm.
you do. But as long as you've got it out there and you've done it, then again you can pick parts out of it. Right, needed to improve on that one. Need to be better at that. Next time I know this and blah 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 blah. And you have to have that slight embarrassment of that you weren't happy with it.
Yep.
So that when you're in the moment, you remember it. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you'll keep making the same mistake because you're not embarrassed by it. It doesn't annoy you. So.
Well, I look back on who I was in 2017, 2018, and I fucking hate that person.
Yeah.
I don't see that person as me. Like, obviously, I'm saying this now a little bit tipsy, but I say the same thing sober. It's like it's a separate person.
No, I agree.
That I'm not.
I can relate to
that person anymore. So I'm so grateful I'm not that person anymore.
I speak to some people and they're like, "Oh, isn't it great? He's the same guy as he was when he was 15."
Ugh.
And to me, I think, if you're 30 and you're the same guy as you were when you were 15,
that's a problem.
Yeah, to me that's a problem. It's like, what? So you haven't progressed
in 15 years.
In 15 years.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Now I could be wrong. The person you could be talking about could have been absolutely perfect, but I'm yet to meet anyone who is.
No, there is no such thing as perfection.
Even slightly perfect.
No such thing. Doesn't exist.
For them to not progress in 15 years is a waste of 15 years of it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You don't want to get to that point.
No, it's pretty terrifying. I mean, like, we all see aspects in our own lives where we can improve, but as long as you're improving somehow, that's all that really matters. It's a phrase I absolutely fucking love. It's from The Equalizer, the film.
I've only watched that recently.
It's when he says he's trying to coach one of the big fat guys at his job, and he says progress, not perfection.
Yes.
I fucking love that phrase.
Exactly,
it's so good. Because
it's impossible to attain.
It's amazing.
You should always, strive for perfection, because that pushes you forward. But you're never going to attain that.
It's the journey towards something that is like a parts of the best. The journey is more important than the end or the start. It's the journey towards attaining something that is impossible to get that counts more than anything.
And I think that takes us back to the games we were talking about. It's
the journey, yeah.
Is the journey. Is once you get to the end of the game and that's it. It's like, that's it.
This conversation,
start again.
This conversation.
Yeah.
The fact that every sentence, every word we say is the best part of it. It's better than the start, better than the end. Yeah. The end is going to be sad.
Yeah, you've got to enjoy talking about what we're talking about. And that's, if I go back to my concept of, I say my goals and stuff like that. Like, as soon as I attain the goal, I think, I'm going to be happy. And then I realise I'm pleased with myself because I've attained that goal. But I'm not pleased enough to stop.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And immediately I'm like, okay, what's the next thing? Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I don't know. But I can't stop to think about that. I'm sort of in the moment. I'm thinking, right, well, let's move forward.
Moving on to the next thing, I don't think is a bad thing. I think there will come a point. We'll both still be young. It's not going to be anytime soon. There will come a point where we will have to.
Currently.
Yeah. We'll have to curb what that is to change what the goal is. So at the minute, it's quite linear. So let's say for a monetary value, it'll be 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, whatever. So at the moment, that's quite easy to hit. I think once you get to a certain level of success, is knowing you're not really going to see a difference between X number of pounds versus X number of pounds. Do you know who James Smith is?
James Smith, yeah, he's a PT. I don't know masses about him. But
yes, he's a Bracknell boy.
Yeah, Bracknell boy. He's quite a successful podcaster, isn't he? He's YouTuber or Instagram or something like that.
Podcast is like an ancillary thing, so he just happened to be doing it because people were like, do one. He was like, okay. But he realised that he was basically, as a PT, teaching the same thing over and over at different stages, different people. He was like, why don't I just make an app which does all of my thing for different stages and then just do a monthly subscription?
Yeah, sick.
Genius. And he's basically a millionaire from that as well, because he's just like, I can just do what the fuck I want now. I don't teach classes anymore.
I've got a structure.
Just chat and do whatever. There was a point. Oh, he was basically saying that one of his mentors told him that once you get to a certain level of success, there's no difference between X value of money and 2X value of money. So, for example, he said once you get to a certain level, there's no difference between 10 grand a month and 20 grand a month.
Yeah, I did hear that, and I won't say the name because we'll get banned.
Yes,
but
I'm sure I can
there
figure
was a
out who
chap,
that is. Yeah,
who's going through quite a bit of controversy at the
he's
moment.
having a bit of a rough time right now.
Yeah, and
A
he
very
said,
good kickboxer.
and
What?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he said,
Cobra?
yeah,
What?
something like that.
There's a
and-
snake on his arm?
Yeah, and he was saying that once he got to like 20 million, that was when the enjoyment
Fucking that's pretty high.
effectively stopped because he was like, I can buy everything I want. I can buy all of the cars,
Have whatever lifestyle I
I can
want.
go wherever I want, travel wherever I want, do whatever I want. After that, it was more just like not a chore, but it was just like, well, I'm going through the motions.
We so for as the band we put up TikToks just as content just to get attention, and we did something about like who was the I know who was the I haven't touched it until being with the band. I refused to until the band. I came to purpose. Anyway, we put up like a one of us, I'm gonna say who did it, Robbie, he tried to put a video being like my favourite singers, and like in order it was like 5 was like Michael Jackson, 4 was Freddie Mercury, whatever, and then all the way up to Voldemort was number 1, and he got banned within 3 seconds.
Voldemort was his favourite?
You know, he who shall not be named.
Oh, right.
He got banned within 3 seconds because it was him singing in a Ferrari.
Oh, mate,
it was so shit.
That is dreadful.
It was so like the video was so funny that I've got it somewhere. I was like, this is so funny, but it's like we were like, that's fascinating. We got banned within 3 seconds. That video just got deleted straight away.
But no, you have to be careful with obviously what you say, especially about this chap. But there's a certain amount of respect I have for him for what he's achieved, and maybe only just monetary value. You know, the way he got to that level, not really a fan of. But again, I don't know. I wasn't there. You only hear what the hearsay and what people say about it. But I saw that video like a month or so ago, and I was like, oh my days.
Look, if
serious, like the respect level did drop quite considerably.
If the allegations against him are true, then he's a despicable human being.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
If it's not, then this is part of a large smear campaign to take down someone who is espousing men need to be men.
Yeah, men need to be men. You need to
work hard, be disciplined, be responsible, be determined. Work hard.
Need to achieve.
Well, he's a provocateur. Like I first heard of him from a podcast called Your Mum's House, where they just found his videos, which is a brilliant podcast, by the way. And they found his videos because their job is to go to the internet and just take the piss out of stupid people online or just ridiculous content, and he was one of them. So I heard about him years before he hit the zeitgeist, before everyone started hearing about him. So when everyone started going off, I was like, yeah, I've known about this guy for years because he's hilarious. He just talks random shit.
That's the best part, isn't it?
And then they had him on the show, and I was like, oh my god. And you listen to it, and the first 20 minutes is just because the podcast is hosted by a married couple, a man and wife, and it's him just talking mad shit to her. She's there like, yes sir, yeah, you're absolutely right, I should make all this, and the husband would be like, yeah, you stupid bitch.
Oh, shit.
You hear the rest of the team in the background just crying, laughing, and then he drops the act because he's just a provocateur. He drops the act, and then he's asking her really intelligent, deep questions because she did philosophy at Oxford, and he's he's asking her about these different philosophers and thoughts about time. He's a really smart guy, and she was like, oh shit, this is who you really are. And he was like, yeah. He was just like, that whole thing's a show. It's this is how I get attention. But he's just talking about masculinity and what he can give to the world and what everyone can. And she's like, wow, you're actually a really interesting guy. He was like, yeah, but I can't get attention from just being interesting and being genuine. I have to be polarizing.
A provocateur, as you say.
Yeah, and she was like, wow. And she was like, yeah. And then he switched back into character, and this is so funny.
But yeah, it's a character, isn't it?
It's brilliant. It's a genius part of again, as I said, if the allegations are not true, he's an absolute genius. If they are true, then he's a despicable person, unfortunately.
Of course. No, but yeah, you can't deny his trajectory has been. What's the word I'm looking for?
Exponential.
Well, yeah.
Cumulative.
Even stronger word than
Compounding.
exponential, but yeah, exponential. is a good way to describe it. Do you know what I mean? He's gone from
stratospheric.
Yeah, stratospheric. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Like that. Do you know
Very
what I mean?
good. It's a long word.
Absolutely. Well, I only heard about him 9 months ago. I think like the rest.
Oh
of
right.
Like
Yeah, I'll know
getting
for
all over
years.
the place, and then he just suddenly popped off, and it was.
I must be pissed. Everything's really quiet.
Yeah. You just shout a bit louder.
What?
No, I think you sound pretty good.
Okay, it must be where the mic is neat. Well, I think the mic has dropped a little bit. These stands are a little bit old.
Does that sound a bit better?
That sounds way better.
There we go. Let's get that up there. Better?
That's a lot better, yeah.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. No, okay, it wasn't me. Okay, cool. That's some water.
So basically, I've been on TV for the last half an hour.
What?
Exactly. But no, yeah. He's It shows you the power of social media and stuff like these days. So you can go from absolutely unknown to all over the world.
I think it's part of a marketing technique that you have to be polarising. Like James Smith is, because he calls everyone a cunt.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's how I've heard of James Smith. That's brilliant.
I've heard of his like bantery.
Oh, it's he eviscerates people. It's so good.
Just boys people, which
he's great.
A lot of the people that do that, I don't disagree with what they're saying. Just some people just get so offended by it. Probably because they would rather stay in their little comfort zone rather than
they're weak people.
Exactly, yeah. Rather than admit what he's actually saying is correct.
He's so well informed. Like what he says.
Yeah, if you know what you're talking about as well.
Well, the most interesting thing to hear to me is hearing him talk about as a PT how, like with female clients, where they are in their cycle really influences their energy and workout performance.
Their ability to perform the workouts, yeah.
And he was like, and this is what will happen at these different stages. So he's done like 4 of them, and I've just absorbed all of it because it's so interesting. Because he's so educated on it. He's like, this is what you should expect. You should set the expectations at this point. At the follicular stage, you should be like, okay, right now is just maintenance. And then at the luteal stage, when they're coming back out of it, you like, okay, you can hit some PBs, you can put some more work into it. I was like, he's just so objective about it. It's just brilliant to hear. But then the comments afterwards are just fascinating to watch because it's either, thank you so much for this is so well educated, this is brilliant, thank you for sharing. And then you hear some people like, you don't have a vagina, you can't talk about it. And it's like, fuck yeah, he's just trying to help.
Yeah.
He's just trying to help people.
I just always find it interesting in those situations. If you don't agree with it, I've been one of those people that are like, okay, well, I'm just not going to watch it again.
Yeah.
But some people just feel the need, like make your own bed. Some people feel the need to just get out there and tell everybody your opinion. And, going back to the sort of James Smith thing, do you know a guy called Kevin Samuels?
I love Kevin Samuels. R.I.P. R.I.P.
But he's
what a god.
Because he knows what he's talking about, and
they would go to him as well.
They would go to him. Yeah. They call up on his show.
Yes. Godlike. For anyone who doesn't know, Kevin Samuels is a fashion icon and a dating specialist. But he passed away about 6 months ago.
Yeah. So he's what's the word?
I don't know, but it's that description basically.
So he advises people on their appearance and stuff like that, how to, get better, in their job roles, hiring sales,
in dating, in partnership, in getting what you want,
And he basically had a podcast. Unfortunately, he died 9 months ago, maybe 12 months ago.
Just before he died, yeah.
Yeah, and he had a podcast where he would, invite people to call in, and then he would advise them, male or females, about their appearance and what they can do immediately on the surface, and then afterwards in order to get what they want. But of course, a lot of the time you'd get people calling in that were, say, 2s or 3s, and
they're like a 10.
The first question he would ask is, where do you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? And the majority of the people would, of course,
say 10.
Say between 8 and 10. Yeah. And, for whatever reason, they believe that. And of course, he would just obliterate them.
Absolutely destroy them. But so funny.
Not really in a mean way. He would just be totally logical about the scale that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And
well, he'd pick out if you look at Kate Moss or Rihanna, those would be the 10s.
Yeah.
Look, you compared to them, it's like you can't turn up here and say that to me and then complain you're not getting the man you want. It's just like you can't live in that level of delusion.
And if you're shooting for a 10 and you're a 5, and you're wondering why you're not getting those 10s.
Happening? Why are men arseholes? It's like, they're not arseholes. You're just not working on yourself.
Exactly, yeah. And he'd always ask what their height is and how much they weigh. And
she's like, that's none of your business.
Yeah. And they'd be like 5 foot and like 300 pounds, and he's like, and you got yourself at 8 or a 10.
Yeah, literally. I
think you're more like a 3.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of them couldn't accept it, which is interesting concept to me because you're asking for his advice as a professional, and then
and then when he gives it to you, you're like, no.
yeah,
and
you're just deeply offended by what he says, and it's like, well,
like, you came to me.
Yeah, you like in the grand scheme of things, and I think it's a predominantly sort of female trait because like between us guys, if use me as an example, when I was 67 kilos or something like that,
I remember training with you
exactly
that way. Yeah.
And mates would say to me that, mate, you need to fucking eat some more, you need to put some weight on, blah blah, and I'd never be like, oh damn, how dare you say that to me, boy? Like, do you know what I mean? I know. You'd
be like, right, you'd be like, you're right, I am a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, and then I know I need to eat. I know I need to do something about it. And then most males will just take the piss out of each other until they improve, won't they? Whereas,
well, I was very fortunate. The martial arts upbringing I came up with was like gruesome, like instruction.
Which is I think well, don't know if females need it, but I know as a male
100%, you absolutely need it.
Opinion.
Yeah, to form you, because with men you're like all your testosterone and all that sort of shit. You're firing all over the place, giving you that discipline, that structure, compresses that energy into a box. But it's that frame that is then. Yeah, but it's a searing focus. For me, I did judo, and then when I turned 14, I started doing jiu-jitsu as well with the same people. And that was basically me versus adults for 5 years, just getting the shit kicked out of me.
First, I thought you said Adolf, and I thought...
Yeah, a lot of Nazis, yeah. Yeah, we had emblems.
Signs.
Yeah, we'd have to itch our lip and wave. But yeah, it was me versus just getting shit kicked out of me, and I never won, ever. The only measure I had was that I lasted longer against them than I had previously. Yeah. And I was like, that's all victory.
That's improvement, isn't it?
It's exactly. That's the measure I had.
And also, if your measuring stick is only this long, you're not going to go any further than that. Do you know what I mean? But if
good point.
If you're fighting to that level, then it's not like a lot of footballers and professionals and stuff like that. If they have brothers around the same age, they end up all going into the same sport because they play with each other all the time, and then like their friends and stuff like that.
Do you know who John Jones is in the UFC?
I don't know.
John Jones he's almost a creature out of myth. He is like the ultimate fighting champion. He's like the ultimate fighter like ever. But his whole family are all NFL, UFC, NBA, whatever. All of them. There's like 6 of them, and they're all absolute monsters. Yeah. So that's how you grow up, just surrounded by monsters. That's how you become.
So that's how you become.
Yeah, fascinating. How are you enjoying yourself, sir?
Cheers, it's good, mate. I enjoyed this port. As I said, it's a bit rich, but
sip it.
It tastes good.
Just sip it, okay? The mistake that's easy to make is to drink too much, and then you're there like, oh, that's too rich, too much going on.
Well, that's like that red wine that we had the other day.
That was good.
I've only recently discovered red wine, and
that was naughty.
Like grape juice. Do you know what I mean? Like you can literally just knock it back.
Next time, because we are doing another, we're gonna get a jammy red, and that is that is like
a little Malbec.
No, is it? I don't think it's a Malbec, but it just goes down like water. Dangerous.
We'll see how we go with that.
Well, actually, you know what? Next time we'll have a little tasting menu. I'll get some of that. I'll get a barefoot pink Moscato, and then I'll get a. What's another one? I'll think of something.
We'll be busting the cheese board out next.
Oh yes.
That would be good.
Cheese we could do. I reckon we can get with the cheese.
Anyway, where were we? The man Kevin Samuels.
Kevin? Yeah.
But yeah, no, he used to. I've watched many hours of his things now, and the ones I'm more interested in. Although there's quite a lot of comedic value to him discussing with the women, because their reactions are usually terrible.
They are fantastic.
When he's discussing with the males, it's more of a way to listen and grow and again evolve the concepts from what he says and uses. And I actually feel most sorry for the males, because the women, although I kind of feel sorry for them, they fight their corner. Do you know what I mean?
When they shouldn't.
When they shouldn't. Whereas most of the males, they go on there, he absolutely ruins them. Quite right, they're asking for advice and he sticks it on them. And they're all just sort of like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Mm.
And whether they're processing it or they're deeply hurt, it goes back to the point I was saying about with the podcast and stuff like that. And if you're not embarrassed by it, you can't really improve.
I think they could take it though.
But is that just because we, from a young age, we have to?
It's a good question.
Taught in society that, which I don't think is a bad thing, not a negative. I just think that we've been taught to be more resilient and fight through things.
Yeah, it's kind of the Greek idea of stoicism, is that you need to be strong and unyielding and determined and unperturbed by petty things like emotions.
And able to
persevere.
Yeah, persevere through the hard times that you may not wish to.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an element of that, but
does that go back to, the struggles that we've had to go through war and stuff like that?
I think it served us well throughout war. I don't think it serves us outside of war or conflict. Because if you
if you don't have a purpose, that's the main thing. When I speak to friends and family members and stuff like that, is I see a lot of people in my day-to-day life that they have no purpose and they're aimless. Do you know what I mean? They don't know what to do. It's like why I'm so, sound like a stuck record to keep going on to it, but it's why I always ensure I've got a goal. So you don't have a goal, you've got no purpose, you've got nothing to aim towards, and then you're just aimlessly, travelling through life.
So you've got...
that is rusty, I can hear it as well.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. So that's not... Oh, you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
where have you gone?
No, I've gone. I'm off.
You've gone completely. Where have you gone?
I'm back. It's
Yeah,
obviously
so
my
weird. What's
mic,
going
isn't
on
it?
now? I'll put you to... is that... oh, that's you. How? You speak?
Hello?
So I think it's me then. I don't think it's you. Yeah, it's my mic that's making the weird noise to speak.
Is it the connection? Hello?
It's this one here. Yeah, it's you.
Wonderful.
There we go. That explains it. It's this fucker. I need another cable. Okay, now I know what the problem is. It's the orange cable. I need another one. Sorry, everyone. I've now just realised where the issue is from an orange cable. Orange cable. Please come and get.
Remember that time.
Orange cable.
So cut out because that was horrific.
Depression. So in society at the minute, you see all these banners of being like, feeling blue, feeling down, feeling lonely, thinking about ending it all. Speak to someone.
Yeah.
That's.
Well, I think they should say, do you have no purpose? No wonder you're depressed.
Here's the point I was getting to. That is how women work. So for females, they need to talk, they need to have empathy, compassion, understanding. Men, they need a purpose and an achievable goal. Whereas we're looking at everything now just female slanted. We're just talking. Men don't need to talk. No. They need to have the option to it, obviously, but they are first and foremost need a purpose and achievable goal. Whatever that is, whether you become a fucking carpenter, whether you are like you're now going to refit cars, whatever the hell it is, you're going to be a software engineer. That's the answer to it for being a prolific male, or just a male that's contributing sufficiently to society. You need purpose, achievable goal. Women to cure depression, need to talk, empathy, emotion, all that crap. Problem is, we're trying to treat everyone like a woman, which is wonder why shit's going wrong with the men. Fucking wonder.
But yeah, like as you say, we've mentioned it a couple of times, but everybody's different. But there is a framework, especially for male mentality and female mentality, and just from my experience and the people around me, as I said, the men need some type of purpose. Otherwise, they're just
100%.
They just get into all sorts of trouble because they got nothing to live for. Really, do you know what I mean? You got to have something to live for.
And the purpose can be anything. It can be.
Well, that's the beauty of this world, and especially how fortunate we are living in the West, is that our purpose is completely self-discovered. You can do whatever you want, and you get to choose what your purpose is. You just got to decide what it is.
But then you come to the agony of choice, because there's too much choice.
And I do understand that, and I battled with that for a long time because I didn't. I always knew from a young age I was going to start a business. I just didn't know what business I was going to go into.
Cool.
And then it got to a point where, I avoided my line of business for a while because I thought, not sure it's something I want to get into. And maybe I want to stay more towards property or, watches or something like that. But then after a while, I just thought, right, let's just go with it, start, just get on with it, crack on. At a later date, you can move on to something else.
Well, and also, as you've now exemplified, why not do all three?
Exactly, yeah. And then you start with one, and then when that pushes off and starts moving forward, then you go into the other ones.
It's fucking started to crackle again. Jesus, I'm sorry everyone. This motherfucker. I just need another. I need to get another cable. That's my next purchase.
It's pretty
cable.
perfect now, though.
Yeah, but it starts to I think because I've put it jammed in the right place, it starts to leaning in.
Is mine too close now?
No, it sounds good. Do I sound weird?
No, you sound fine.
Okay, I sound weird to me.
Yeah, I think we all sound weird to each other.
Yeah, we do. I sound to myself when I hear myself. I sound really nasal.
So do I.
I sound like this.
You do sound nasal. But
yeah, thanks man. Yeah, fuck.
But I sound nasal too.
Yeah, fuck off.
But just nasally.
You have a lovely dulcet tone. Hang on, then.
I've lost my enthusiasm due to it being late.
What about if I spoke more like
that
this?
That does sound very smooth.
Would that be better?
Yes.
Late night talk show host, brought to you by Matt Delaharp.
You got the name for it as well, do you know what I mean?
Huh?
You got the name for it as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember being as a kid when I first went to Hideout, being embarrassed of my name because it was quite a lot as opposed to just Matt, whatever.
Max Smith.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Just
that's
a
punchy
basic name.
It's good. It's a good name. Whereas you've got Max in my band. He's his initials are MBB, so is his surname. Whereas mine is did. That's my name.
Yeah.
I always thought it was too much. As I got older, do you remember Mr. Alexander?
Alexander.
Mr. Alexander, the massive rugby player, PE teacher.
No, I didn't go to Hideout.
Ah, that's why. Where'd you go?
I went to the Oratory. And then I went to Henley College.
Why do I always think you went to Hideout? We've had this conversation before.
Yeah, my brother went to Hideout.
Sorry, man.
I went to Henley and then became a college dropout.
Nice.
Which tend to be the most successful people, I'll give you that.
True. Yeah, you have to go and then leave before your time's up.
Yeah, you have to...
You can't not go, you have to go.
Completely fail to realise that you've fucked your life up, basically.
And then be like, oh, this is actually the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah. No, it was.
Well, I never went to uni. Same as you.
It forced me to level up.
You didn't go to uni, did you?
Didn't get well, I dropped out of college.
Well, I don't know. You could have dropped out of college and gone to uni. I don't fucking know.
No, I didn't know. Fortunately not.
Yeah.
I would have liked to go to university, but again, I always knew from a young age that I wanted to work and start a business. So to me, there was no benefit in it. Don't get me wrong. If I went to university, I'd have had a great time.
Oh yeah.
It would have been great fun, but I wouldn't have done anything towards, the work side of things.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And it'd be a waste of 10 grand.
10 grand. That's 1 year. You got 3 years, mate. That's 27.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was it. I was the only person in my year to not get into uni.
Really?
Yeah, everyone else got in. 40% chose to wait or get extra credits. So they could actually go, I don't want this uni, I want a better one. So my girlfriend at the time, she waited for 2 years. She studied some more art stuff to get better qualifications so she can get an even better university. Which worked out well for me because then she stayed in town, stayed at home rather, and I just went straight to work.
Yeah.
So I've been working ever since I left school, even before I left school actually. Yeah.
And what most people don't know is Matt worked. Did you work at Moss Bros before as well?
Yeah.
And he was gone back to work for Moss Bros, and he is technically my personal fashion advisor, tailor. What would you say?
I'll go stylist. I won't say tailor because I'm not tailor. But yeah, stylist I'll go with.
You will take the measurements and then send it off to the tailor.
Exactly.
And I don't meet the tailor,
I'll pin it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it gets pinned, then it gets handed straight back to me from Matt. So technically, he's my tailor.
I mean, Max did turn up wearing stuff I sold him, so there you go.
He did indeed.
Shows for him.
No, I've got no...
I'll take that.
I can't go anywhere else.
Be a personal stylist will help me. Why would you not?
Exactly. I walk into a place and I'm like, although I like fashionable things, a lot of the time I've got no idea what goes with what. So I'll just call Matt up and I'll be like, right, Matt, does this work with this? And he'll go, right, change that, move that. work that. Have you got those shoes? I remember those shoes. Bam, 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 bam.
Well, at my gig you came to the other night, which was in a nice rowdy pub in London. Do you want to tell everyone what you turned up wearing?
Well, so I was wearing a naughty little number.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was wearing these trousers,
You were.
which
I think this t-shirt.
I really should get. Another pair of trousers now.
Yeah, nice to be fair. Where'd you get them
I
from?
do like these. So these aren't actually Moss Boss.
No.
These are Zara.
But I like them, mate. They look pretty good.
But they work quite well with most of the jackets I wear.
Mm.
But I think it was what kind of grey was that?
Storm grey.
It was like a storm grey. I'd say I'm a car guy, so I'd say like a Nardo storm grey.
Yeah, yeah.
If that's a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Or if you go, a 1967 Chevrolet Stingray. Grey.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. Just like
Yeah. That's
Is
my
it?
dream car, by the way.
that. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that car.
Keep pushing the podcast. And
Ooh.
we'll get you into
Yeah, that bitches.
it. They'll be all over it.
I love that car. So
But
nice.
it was a grey, double-breasted jacket, which
Mm.
it's more of it was a suit, wasn't it? But I'm not a suit. I don't really have any need to wear suits, but I like wearing a nice jacket when I go out. It's always
And
nice.
throughout the time you were wearing it, throughout that day, how many people said they liked it?
I must have had 5 or 6, maybe 7 people
See,
literally go out of their way to come up to me and say how much they like the jacket. And at first, the first time I was like, that's a bit weird. As a male, we're not used to actually getting compliments. I know women get compliments from their appearance all the time, but
True.
for a male to get
Yeah.
a compliment on his appearance, it's almost unheard of. So when it happens, it's like, what the fuck do you want? Why are you?
You're trying to fuck me, aren't you?
Anyway, why you give me some type of compliment? It's
Yeah.
odd.
Yeah.
And then the third and fourth time, I was like, is someone following me around with a camera? Like, seriously, like, just trying to look at my reaction to someone being kind to me.
Mm.
And like the 6th or 7th time, I was like,
It must be right.
maybe the jacket just looks good.
Yeah.
Maybe I look okay in this jacket. So it was good. And obviously, when I saw Matt afterwards, told him the good news, and he was over the moon.
Well, mate, it was genuinely. So when Max picked up this stuff from me, he left a little toy for me to sort out for him, which was a very nice suit of his. And literally, it was a coin flip whether I was going to keep it and just say it got lost.
Yeah.
It's so
I'd have
fucking,
been pissed as well,
so fucking nice.
because that was sold out now. So I can't
Oh
get it.
mate, it's fucking amazing. If you ever get bored of that, you just please let me know because it's such a nice suit.
But if I can find it again, and we
Mate,
don't wear it at the same time.
I've recommended that specific tailor, as it were, to multiple customers who are looking after something very specific. I was like,
Yeah.
"No, we don't have that, but this place does," and they're like, "Fucking hell, yeah, this is great. Yeah, I'll have that. Yeah, it's good. They've got really good shit."
And if we can get the podcast popping off, then maybe we can start wearing the suits on the podcast.
Yeah, next time if you
we
want.
can, we can get sponsored by them.
We'll do it next time.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Because I've got my 3-piece
Mhm.
grey pinstripe. Yeah, your green one.
Then we can talk more about business.
Yeah.
Kevin Samuel styling.
Yeah, but like in like really abstract terms, people
Yeah.
don't know what we're talking about.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what we're talking
No, I
about.
don't know either.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But we look good, so that's the main thing.
No, I'll show you afterwards because it's
Still talking about the suit, yeah.
sure, yeah, because it's the single-breasted, wide lapels, peak lapel, but it's a double-breasted scoop neck waistcoat.
Like 80s.
Is it 80s? It's more like
The big
Harvey.
lapels.
Think Harvey Specter from
Yes.
Suits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, that kind of shit. But he's very like clean and just very sharp. Like there's no ostentation at all. It's just like very, very regimented.
That's the thing with the double-breasted is I love a double-breasted jacket, but that's why I always try and wear them casually because they look a bit less. So I think if we wear a double-breasted suit, don't get me wrong, I've worn a word before, but a full double-breasted suit is just, I think it's a bit much.
Did you ever see my Ted Baker one at work when we worked together?
Was that the grey one with the
Mhm.
green pinstripe?
Yep.
To be fair, that was what made me fall in love with double-breasted
That
suits.
suit was absolutely
That
fucking
was sexy.
banging.
I like that suit.
And then I grew out of it because I got too big.
Not too big.
It's very upsetting.
That's always the problem, isn't
I had
it?
to get rid of my whole wardrobe because I just grew out of it. I was
And then
like,
you can never buy them again.
motherfucker.
I bought.
That suit will not exist again.
So I bought a Ted Baker suit when I started at Prospects, actually.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't have
You
said
started
that.
at no shush.
We'll beat that out.
Yeah. We started out.
Yeah. And
Find a
within like two weeks, I must have ripped the trousers and went back in.
Fucking what?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's what it was like at. But I must have ripped the trousers, and then I could not. They discontinued it. So then basically I just had a £350 jacket that I could only wear casually. Which, don't get me wrong, I wore casually quite a lot.
Yeah.
But because it was like navy. It was so suited. It never really worked casually.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
Depends on the suit. Depends on the fabric, really. More
but
than
the
else.
interior was like midnight sky with like moons and suns and all that stuff.
Some of the Ted Baker linings historically are just outstanding. There was one which was the whole centre panel was a babbling brook, and then it was all like trees and everything else around the surrounding
What's
part.
a babbling brook?
The stream, like a river. So the whole middle bit was a river, then the rest of it was like trees and wilderness and animals. So it was incredible.
But there is one that had all like different colour parrots and stuff inside.
That's cool.
That was nice as well.
I had a Ted Baker jacket, which was a grey one, which was a maze. The whole jacket was a maze.
What, like inside?
The outside, the whole thing. And you're like,
where's this go?
I had it for years, no idea. The inside was a horse, and then there was a bar with a load of drinks on it, and on the bar it said "Why the long face?" And I was like, I kept that thing for. So I got it on discount, and even on discount at work, because work had them at the time.
Yeah.
I spent 190 quid on it, even with discount. So just think about how much that was just off the peg. I wore it 7 or 8 times. I kept it for 8 years.
That's one thing I do miss about working in that industry is you could wear a suit every single day. Sorry. I keep thinking I'm too close and I can hear myself like, but.
I mean, I probably have a terrible frame of reference because I'm very merry right now, but I'm just going to say it for comedic effect, if nothing.
That's where I can hear myself breathing. That's really off. This is just you. That is pretty scary.
It's terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah. I feel lights on.
I did one. Did you watch that one where I recommended you watch me, Shaq, Josh, and Andy? The one I did all 4 of us.
No, I haven't watched that one. No, you recommended a different one. You recommended 34, I think.
Oh yes, no, that was So that one I'm thinking of is 16, and Josh starts off by basically just going. I'm like, and it's just me just be like, you fucking arsehole, like, shut up. That was the 4 of us, and that was just chaos.
Yeah.
Like, so the one I released is an hour and like 2 minutes. The whole thing is about 4.
Yeah.
Because there was so much of it, I just couldn't release it. Like, this is going to be a huge problem, so I can't have this out there.
Yeah. But I think we should do another one and get a couple of people on.
Who'd you fancy?
Well, I don't know. It's not my podcast. But maybe we should have like a proper provocateur on. I mean, I could be a provocateur, but I don't want to.
Who do we know that's a provocateur? Oh, to be fair, Max and Robbie as a duo, we could just let them go.
Yeah.
Mate, we went. What did we do the other night? We went to this singles night at the Angel Bar. So we've played the Angel Bar before.
Where's that in Caversham?
Yeah. You know.
Prospect Street.
You know the Baron.
Yeah, I know. I went to Angel Bar on Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh wait. Why are you asking where it is then? You've already been.
I was double checking it.
What the fuck is wrong
I
with you?
said the Angel Bar. What in Caversham?
Yeah. You were like, where is that? Is what you said though.
But I said I was double. But I didn't know if we were talking about Henley or somewhere.
Anyway, so it was.
You played when?
Huh?
When did you play?
Oh, we played there in November.
Nice.
But we went there Friday before last because Mina, who's the owner, who's awesome, she kept texting Max being like, "Oh, we have this singles event going on." He kept putting her off, and he was like, "I've run out of reasons."
Singles events? What do you mean, like dating? Or?
Mate, it was so funny. So the 3 of us turned up. I got there before everyone else, so I'm just chatting to like everyone there. Max and Robbie turned up, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?" And it's basically us as the 3 youngest people there. Everyone else was like 45. We just started chatting.
I bet they were all over it then.
Mate, it was great. There was these 3 women next to us on the table, and then so you just like speed dating, which is just horrible because you get like 3 minutes per person. You just repeat the same shit through everyone. It's horrible. But the host was like, okay, 50% of people have these cards that have questions on. The other half have these lanyards with locks on, and each card that has a question on the back of it has a set of numbers.
Follow me.
Where's it gone? Yeah, there you go. That was mine. And she was like, okay, so find someone who has a lanyard with a lock on it, ask me a question, get talking about it, and then once you finish that question, then see if your number's going to work. And if it works, then you guys can go off and talk a little further. So we ignored that. We basically just, the three of us got up, moved to the table next to us, which were all women, which all had the lanyards and the locks on.
Yeah.
And we just sat chatting with them for like 3 hours. But dude, the lady I was speaking to was great. She was just telling me about her kids. Her son works in Denmark. He works for Lego. He like organises all like.
And were you there, in order to?
I literally have no idea why. I have no
or-
idea why I was there, but I was like, I like meeting people. You're a good laugh. Let's talk. I was talking to this lady here about that lady over there about like we were discussing Budapest because we've both been there, we both loved it. This sort of one over here who her daughter is taking drum lessons. I was like, that's amazing. I used to teach drums, all sort of stuff. And I was like, it was brilliant. It was really good fun. It was just a laugh, just chatting to these like middle-aged people about their kids. I was like, this is great.
Especially if there's no pressure or.
Yeah,
you weren't there for any reason.
No, I didn't give a shit. I literally went in just, why not? It's something to do. And like Max and Robbie so I had like a drink, and they were like, within about an hour, about 6 pints in, they were obliterated. They obviously you've met them.
Yeah, good fun.
Dude, when they are hammered, they are even funnier.
Yeah.
And I was like, how are you guys funny? I don't understand this. Like, it was fucking absurd. It was so...
Yeah.
Just to sit back and watch as like someone who's fairly sober, I'm like, this is amazing.
Watch the destruction unravel.
It was so funny. It was so good.
But I think it'd be worth it.
It was fun. Who gives a shit? Just a good laugh.
Exactly, yeah. No, it's great fun. Especially when it's like proper random one. Do you know what I mean? Off the dome.
Yeah, and you go in with like no expectations. Like if you were like, oh, I'm going out to pull, I'm like, A, first of all, that's not my
when
style.
you don't pull as well.
It's not my style.
No.
I've never done it. And B, I'm just like, how sad is that?
Yeah, when you go out with expectations.
Ugh.
It's like the New Year's Eve thing, isn't it? I don't even go out for New Year's Eve really anymore. Unless I'm
never.
specifically invited to, something.
Yeah.
For the last 5 years, I haven't even bothered because, how many times, when you're young, you're like, right, let's go out, we're going to go to town, we're going to go to London, we're going to do this. And you get there and it's £25 to get in.
Oh, fuck me.
The drinks are way more. It's rammed. Like, everyone's like overly excited.
Mm.
And it's actually just painful.
They must just, establishments and like taxi services must just clean up on New Year's Eve. Must be like the most profitable day of the year for them.
So I got a taxi. I did go out this year because I was invited. But we got fairly merry and ended up going to the local kebab shop. Mo's Kebabs. Shout out Mo's.
Shout out Mo's.
Good lad. And the journey is probably 0.6 miles away.
From your house.
But it was quite cold and I was pretty merry, so I thought, let's get a taxi. £20. £20. With my hard-earned cash.
So my house. So
I
here,
paid it because I was
drunk.
drunk and
So,
had my kebab. I just wanted to eat it.
so here, so from here to town is £13.80
Yeah, that's nice.
in a taxi. Just normally,
Yeah.
which is 5 miles. Fair enough. Like from town to my old house, which was Bog's Bottom, that was £8.
Yeah, it's mad.
I was like, cool, fine.
Yeah.
Well,
I got in a black cab the other day from the pub and it was... Well, no, I called a taxi service and they wanted to charge me 20 quid again. And I thought, nah, F that. And I started walking. As I started walking down the road, a black cab came past. Hopped in that. It was like 7 quid.
but you know the Crown on the Bridge?
Yeah.
Me and... Who was it? It was a friend of mine, I don't know who it was. We got in it at Mo's.
Yeah.
But we got in it with a dude who stood next to the rank as well. And we get in and he was like, we were like, where are you all going? The taxi driver was like, where are you all going? And we're like, well, we're going to Emma Green. And he was like, I'm going to Caversham Park. So we're like, well, we can go on the way. So like we just got in with a stranger.
Yeah.
We were chatting to the guy, he was pissed as a skunk. And it turned out he was the landlord of the Crown on the Bridge.
Was he?
And we were
Good
like,
lad.
what the fuck? We were like, what the hell are you
Local celebrity.
And he was there like, he was pissed as a skunk.
Yeah.
But he was there like, you seem like a good boy. You come by whenever you want. And we were like, all right, cool, whatever, man.
You got a free card?
Yeah, I was like, cool, thanks, mate. Like, I was having cards, thank you.
Card.
Yeah, but I was like, what the fuck was that?
Wrong.
But he just paid for our whole taxi fare. And he was like, yeah, you guys go on from here, here's 20 quid. We were like, all right, cheers, dude.
He's a good lad.
Thanks,
Get to
appreciate
meet
it.
the locals of Caversham.
Yeah, hey, local business owners, you got to know.
Always good to know.
Well, I don't need to tell you that.
Getting there.
Dude, it was like going out for dinner for you. Going out for dinner with you was like going out with royalty because everyone was like, "Oh, it's Max." Like, you know.
Well, it's a strange concept how things change because I worked in Caversham for many years, in a estate agency. So you meet so many people, and I think I was a bit younger then. I was probably 22 to 21 to 25, and I always had that work ethic even working there. And, you'd meet people like 35, 50, and I've always understood from a young age. My dad said to me, he said, "Look, Reading's a small place. Don't be a dickhead. You'll come into contact with these people over and over and over again." And I know you meet a lot of people and they don't understand that concept and they're just cocks. But I always tried to, as a salesperson, people think you've got to try and sell something to people. I always understand the concept from a young age that I'm not really selling anything. I'm providing a service.
Yep.
It's a service-based industry.
Yep. 100%.
I'm just trying to. You want something? If I can get it, I'll give you a call. If you want it, you can buy it. Like.
Yeah.
Hard sell is.
It's what's dead.
Well, it's dead, and it's for completely different industries to the ones I was in and would want to ever be in. Do you know what I mean? There's no point trying to force anything down someone's throat because you just get a bad personal reputation and you end up, you're just doing it for the business, not for yourself. Well, you're doing it for yourself and the business, whereas for me, I knew there was going to be some type of personal reputation and brand in it. So, when I was, we used to sell, me and George at Farmer and Dyer, big up Farmer and Dyer. We might have to beat that out. But we used to nail it, and it was only because we were just genuine. Do you know what I mean? We didn't try and hard sell anyone, but for that reason, we were. I think in the four years I was there, we were between George and I, and obviously Tom and Damien, who were the owners of the business. We, as a team, I think we sold like 15% more than number two for at least 2 years, but for the 4 years I was there, we were top sales. And it just just shows that some of the people we were working with are trying to sell and all that bollocks. But at the end of the day, you just provide a good service, and you're just genuine, and just help people get what they want. Then people respect that.
The most important lesson I ever learned from sales is when to say, "I don't have what you want."
Yeah.
And here's where you can find it.
And they respect that the most.
They love it. They absolutely love it.
People don't want to be sold to these days.
Well, and also they'll come back to you if you then have something you want.
Yeah.
That they want rather, or they'll recommend you to someone else.
Yeah. And then again,
integrity.
I'm local myself as well, so
yeah.
You see these people in the pubs, you see them.
Yeah, you're
in
not going to
shops.
shit in your back garden, no.
I just say, we were out for dinner. We must have saw like 6 or 7 people.
If not more, yeah.
Yeah, that I knew, and it was, if I had a bad reputation, either I'd be thinking, oh no, like there's that person over there, I don't want to see
or it would
them.
end badly.
Yeah, or they'd be doing the same to me, and it was, it was nice to be able to just bump into people that I've had a business relationship with, and then you see them personally, and then you see them, constantly throughout life, which is good. Which I want to try and, what's the word? For example, they've dealt with me in business. So if I ever needed something, and they were in whatever industry they're in, and I came across them, they'd be like, "Well, I know this guy. I respect him. Hopefully, he'll be able to help me out." And especially a local place like Reading and Caversham.
Yeah.
I do a lot of business. The owner of Quattro's came in the other day.
Nice.
And we did some storage.
Cool.
And he was over the moon. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, doing a nice little deal, like we do everybody.
Yeah.
But
depending on the clientele and the needs.
Yeah. But if you, as I said before, if you look after people, they'll look after you. And I don't know what the future might hold. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be a time where I might need something or need some help, or give them advice or something like that.
It's funny when it comes to, because I probably get every 7 customers, they're like, oh, you need a discount. It's like, if you've spent the time to actually get to know us as people, you're a recurring customer, you are a genuine person, you don't even have to ask him, we'll sort you out.
Exactly, yeah.
It's for the ones who are just like, oh, they'll buy a shirt and be like, hey, can I get a discount? It's like, fuck off.
Well, that's the one thing I've learned is never ask for a discount. Pay the full price.
Yeah.
If they give you a discount, then
you'll come back.
You'll come back. And
100%.
And it's obviously because they're looking after you and they want to do that.
There's
I've always understood as, pay the full price, especially if it's your friends. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But yeah, if it's your friends, the local business, you'd want to keep them afloat, so you want to pay full price.
Yeah, so you're paying full price because you know the money's going to them.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different if you're, trying to buy into a big corporation. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, who gives a shit? There's a local coffee shop, which I won't mention which one it is on here. There's like 3. They have 3 franchises already, and the manager of them all, he knows me from work and all of us who go in and out. So now and again, he'll just, whatever I order, he'll just say, help yourself. And I'm like, great, I'm coming back.
And after a while,
I'll come back every day because it's like,
you'll come back, won't you?
because it's not all the time he gives it to me for free. He'll be like, sometimes it's full price, sometimes it's half, sometimes it's free. But it's like, that's amazing that you sorted me out, and we have a proper conversation. We talk. He tells me about his life, tells me about his partner, about his business, whatever's going on. And because he's a cool guy, he's a very interesting guy, and it's just like the fact that I actually express an interest to him and the entire rest of his team, whether who they are, whether they're students going skiing, whether they're in this, they're in that, whatever. The service is brilliant. The interactions are great. It's just like, I'm going to come back every day, and so I've never ever asked for a discount there, even though I've been there like 4 years. But sometimes you're like, yeah, help yourself. I'm like, cool. I'll have all these 7 things. It's like, yeah, wherever I don't go.
It's like, going back to the thing, the owners of Quattros, I've been going there for probably 20 years. Maybe.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably about that. And, I see them around Campbellsham, see them around Reading all the time. I was going there, you're right, blah, 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 have a nice little chat with them. How's the family getting on? But, when I go there, they properly look after you, don't you? As you say, that's where we went.
Yeah.
And they properly treat you.
Fuck yeah.
They probably look after you, which is what you want, isn't it?
Well, and
mutual respect.
Like with yourself, whenever you come and see me, only recently I've been able to help you out properly. So like last time, like that's how I will look after you.
Yeah. But I'd never expect it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, I appreciate that. Yeah.
But I appreciate it.
Yeah.
When it comes.
Well, that's the thing is, it comes from the fact that we resonate as people. The fact that we can sit here for. You may be my longest guest, mate.
Where are we at?
3 hours and 14 minutes.
That's pretty good going.
Some
of this has got to be chopped out there, remember?
True, we got cut out that first 5 minutes or something. The fact that we resonate, we both, the fact that we work together, the fact that we, from the Christmas party, we both had together, we ended up going to the casino where those are the fuckheads. And then we end up going to that other casino and being like, wow, we here. And then walking home from that second casino in the rain at 2 a.m. And then being like, what the fuck are we doing with these lunatics? Because
you stayed there for another how many years?
I was 2 in total. So I did. It was what was it? 17th July 15 to 10th of July 17. Yeah, 2 years on the dot, pretty much. Yeah, you were out in like a year, right?
I think I did 5 months, and then one of the managers.
It's really 5. I thought it was longer than that.
Area managers got a bit chopsy with me, and
don't even.
I nearly smacked him, so I had to walk out.
It wasn't until like years later that from people who used to work there who don't anymore, like the heavy hitters don't work there anymore.
Yeah.
And it was afterwards I was like, they were like, oh yeah, everyone was on coke. I was like, that makes so much more sense, because some people just the manic energy.
Well, they had so much energy, like
it was manic.
From 6 a.m. till 8 o'clock at night.
It was also just disproportionate. I was like, this is not that exciting.
Yeah, it's not that exciting.
Not that exciting.
Jumping off the walls and spiking like fag every half hour.
I think speaking to other people in the industry, I'm like, yeah, that was the wrong company to be with.
But I think it was a good place for us to start.
Mate,
Do you know what I
would if I could go back and do it again, I would. I
Yeah.
would. The learning experience was
As we said
unparalleled.
before, you know, I learned a lot from there. Whether it was learning through positive situations like work ethic, you got to give it to them.
Unparalleled.
It was probably because of the
7:30 to 8.
yeah, but it was probably because of the external influences that became internal. Is that they had the motivation. Do you know what I mean? They were going.
Well, you know I don't say his name, but you know my area manager at the time. He, the part of the reason I think I was there for so long is because he absolutely loved me, even when I was shit for 2 years.
He was a good lad though, wasn't he?
He's a great guy.
Is that the yeah? He was wow, wasn't he?
He was so big once he couldn't get a pint to his face.
Really? But he was also sound as a pound, do you know what I mean? Like, I spoke to him quite a few times. And even me in sales, even though he's that rivalry, he'd always
great guy.
chat with him.
Well, he started off in sales as well.
Yeah.
But a great guy. Lunatic. Like, I had to pick him up in his underwear from his house on multiple occasions on a work day. I was like, okay. Take him to work drunk still, wasn't fair enough.
Good lad.
But since then, he's like been an absolute, just awesome to me. Like,
Do you still see him now?
Yeah, I saw him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, call up just for a chat to see how I'm doing. And I'm like, I don't say this to him. Me in my head, I'm like, there's no reason for this guy still to be nice to me.
No. But other than the one chap that I had that bad experience with,
That I think we all did.
well, I think everybody who had any experience with him had a negative experience with him. They're all good people. I never had a bad word to say about them. They all helped, push me forward with my progression, being that it was my first sales role as well. And, I was a bit lost when I first started. I had no real understanding or comprehension of what was required. They spent a lot of time helping me push through, which I really appreciate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an experience unparalleled. The people you meet as well, because
It was good fun. Like, I had good fun there. It was great fun.
Yeah. Well, I did a year in the Reading office and I did a year in Wokingham because my area manager was like, look, this environment's not right for you. Let's try somewhere else. I remember at the time being really resistant, and then I was like, oh, this is better because it's like a quarter of the pace, and I can spend a whole day with one client and make a fuck ton of money out of that one person. So I was like, okay, this is better.
Yeah, it's a different market, wasn't it?
I love it. Fantastic market. I spent this day, like this dude who moved to work for Microsoft, just driving around Crowthorne, just being like, here's the schools, here's the shops, here's the station, here's the house, here's the connectivity, here's a park. We were just hanging out, just together for the day. I was like, this is great.
That's what a lot of that industry is about, isn't it?
It should be.
It's someone's home at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the one of those. It's like the third biggest thing that's going to happen to them is them moving house. Whereas like when you're in the Reading office, you've got an appointment.
Sales, yeah.
You've got an appointment every 30 minutes, and you have 15 minutes per appointment.
Yeah.
And you're like,
If it's in the same
bond.
house, it's like 10 minutes.
Oh, you can't bond with open houses. Don't even. You've got half an hour with like 8 people. You're like, oh, fuck this.
I know.
Particularly Reading traffic, fuck off.
But I think
Horrible.
with that pressure, it does help you organise yourself because you've got to be regimented with your time. And you got to. It helped me set people's expectations because immediately you meet them, you say, right, look, I'm here to see this. I got 15 people to see today within the next hour. So I said, look, I can be with you for
3 minutes.
Yeah. 1.5 minutes. That's using my record. I can be with you for like 10 minutes or so. So what I'm going to do is, I'll show you around for the first 5 minutes. You can have a look around, and then we can, convene at the end to work out, what your thoughts are. Then I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Well, I'll give you a call at this time. Blah 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 blah. And as you say, it gives you that training to be able to manage your time and their expectations. Whereas, I find a lot in sales and people that I deal with is that the main thing is setting the client's expectations. The main thing, no matter what it is. Do you know what I mean? If you call them and you say, look, I'm having a problem with this, blah, 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 blah. 99% of them are understanding if you actually just talk to them and make them aware.
100%.
But if you call them up after the fact
Yep.
and say, I saw I couldn't get back to you because this was going on, they think you're a knob.
Oh yeah, they'll lose their shit.
Because they think, well, I'm obviously not important enough.
I had this, so back in May, I had this wedding party come in. And they were like, oh, we're here to pick up our wedding suits. I was like, cool. What's the name? So I'm looking for the name. Don't come up with anything. When's the event date? This weekend? Okay, no, still nothing. Have you got just like a different name or anything else? So I eventually found it, and sorry, the wedding was next weekend. It was in 2 days, and I found it. And when the wedding was set up, to get the suits ordered in, that was set up in 3 weeks' time. So they weren't going to come in for 3 weeks, and the wedding's in 2 days.
So luckily the products have come in.
No.
Actually.
They came in because the wedding's in 2 days' time.
To double check.
And to pick it up, and it wasn't going to turn up for 3 weeks. And I was like, fuck.
What am I going to do?
So I was like, okay, you lot, go stand over there. I'm just going to call the groom, tell him what happened, and then we'll go from there. I called him, and he was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, I don't know what happened, but this is where we are. And he was like, and I was like, okay, this is what I have in store. So I'm going to give it to this lot, but I'm missing all of this. And he was like, okay. Are there any stores that might have it nearby? I said, that was my next point of call. Let me call you back. He said, okay, I'm going to come in anyway. I'll see you in a bit. I was like, cool. So I spent the next 90 minutes calling every store, trying to find these specific sizes. And to put in perspective, one of the sizes was a 60 on a jacket. Which for anyone who doesn't know, is probably like me plus jacket. Max twice.
Yeah. So it's like wearing the same jacket.
Twice.
There's
like 4 people wearing this. Long story short, I found everything, sorted it out, he had a great time. But to your point, as I called him immediately, I was like, this lot come in, here's the fuck up, and here's what I'm doing. He was like, cool, see you in a bit.
In that sort of situation.
Yeah, I fixed it, sorted everything, and I done it, had a great time. But I was just like, that's the most stressful shit I've ever done. I was like, someone's wedding and they have nothing, and I just fixed it in 90 minutes. I was like, fuck me. Because these dudes literally got up by like 6, drove to Salisbury, drove to Southampton, drove to wherever, picked all the shit up and went, okay, we got it, let's go to the wedding.
Were they all the same stores?
There was like 4, they had to go to Uxbridge. So there was
like they were Moss Bros.
Yeah. So like one person went to Southampton, one went to Salisbury, one went to Uxbridge, one was like here. I was like,
but that's the main thing.
I'm going home. I can't deal with it. I fixed it. I'm going home. I'm exhausted.
But as we said, when you bump into those people again, which you will do, you may never bump into them again.
Oh, no, I probably will.
Let's say you bump into them once to 10 times for the rest of your life.
Yeah, 100%.
They're going to know that, you, although mistakes happen, which mistakes always happen, they're going to happen. Yeah. But the real measure of a man or a woman,
or a dog,
let's be gender inclusive.
What?
And animals as well.
Yeah, animals.
The real measure of a man, woman is
a man, woman. A lady, man, lady.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be too careful.
Yeah, that's true. Could be all above.
Is how you deal with problems when they occur.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can either fight or flight. Fight, flight, or freeze. Fighting is exactly what you did. You did whatever you had to do to get the job done.
Oh, mate, I left 2 hours early because I'm so tired. I'm drained.
But
and they were like,
done.
see ya.
Exactly, that's the main thing, and that's the customer service, isn't it?
I think it was from the company we work for. Do you remember the guy? Did you get the training from the guy, the sales training, Dr. Sales or whatever, who came in? Were you there for any years?
Mine was in-house training.
Tony something or other?
Not Tony Robbins.
No, it's just some dude.
If they got Tony Robbins in it,
no, it's Tony something or other.
Yes.
But basically, he was like the lesson he basically taught was a story about like a plane that couldn't take off because of weather, so it's completely out of any control. And the story is that everyone's complaining, everyone's upset, and the pilot was like, you know what? If I was you, I'd be even more angry. And so like everyone was like, okay. Because if customers are complaining and then you get angrier than them, they're like, all right, calm down, mate.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah.
And I just apply that to everything now, and it works every single time. If you get angrier than they do, they're like, all right, calm down. It's only
it's ridiculous that these haven't come in. I'm so pissed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I'm like, they've done it again. This is the third time it's happened or whatever. I'm just break something, and they're like, and you start swearing, and they're like, whoa, okay,
calm down.
And you're like, I'm sorry, I'm just getting worked up. And they're like, it's okay, appreciate it. But they can see that you passion. They can see that you care.
Exactly, and that's the main thing. Is that
and even if it's an act, which 90% of the time it is an act.
Yeah,
but even if it's an act,
90% of people, or maybe that's a made-up figure, but it's totally bad.
90% of statistics are made
There's
up.
a high proportion of people
Proportion? Yeah.
Of people that don't realise that the fact that they don't care creates so many of the issues. Like, if you can tell you care, most people aren't going to get pissed off.
No.
But
because they're like, I can trust the guy.
I see it when I go into shops, and people have got such a bad attitude, and I think they're really going to just give you my money.
Yeah, fuck that.
But I worked very hard for, and then
No reason
got
to.
taxed on it, and then had to pay for the parking to come here. Do all that shit. Do you know what I mean? As long as you're respectful, because it's a bit disrespectful, isn't it? You're going to a place to buy products and they can't even afford you the basic human decency to not have an attitude.
Which is a problem for some people.
It is, for a lot of people. I genuinely think the more and more I experience it, that people just don't comprehend that, one, they're either doing it, which I find it far-fetched, like, you must know. But two, why they don't care. Like, don't turn up to work. If you don't care that much, why come to work? And why are you going to come to work if you don't care? And then act like you don't care? Because then you're just going to get sacked, and then you're going to care.
It's a testament to the confluence of time and events. I had this specific conversation with a colleague of mine today, because whilst I've been on my days I've been off, I've had reports of their conduct, shall we say, and specifically about the fact they appear to not care. It's just like, why are you?
Remember, we have made specific comments about where you work.
That's fine. I have a big team.
Okay, good.
Could be anyone or everyone.
Or none of them.
Or none of them. Could have made it up.
This is one of your fictional stories, right?
Yeah, so this one over here.
That's it.
And they were, it's just saying how they were literally stating how they don't want to be here.
Not to customers, right?
No. But I was literally like, but I was just like,
Okay then.
this is what I've heard.
Goodbye.
Obviously, people are either savvy enough, or people are savvy enough to not do anything around me. Because I never see any shit from anyone. I hear about stuff when I'm not there, so I can only assume people are telling me I'm not liars. But it's basically like, from a perspective as a human, I'm there like, they're clearly bringing in stuff externally, so they're carrying their own baggage and they're releasing it in the work environment. Yeah. So from that perspective, I'm very compassionate and empathetic towards it. Which
that comes to us at a certain level. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think this is my downfall, is that I'm probably too much like that. I'm too understanding. And I'm too empathetic. I'm too like, talk to me about what's going on, as opposed to being like, don't do that shit.
Yeah. And I relate to that in a way. That I think I'd do the same. But I also, I come from.
Sorry.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I come from stock that, my old man, although he's a very compassionate man, if I, and he would never, do anything real negative towards me. He would only ever be blunt with me because he knows it's what I need. Like, he would just be like, "That's not my problem. Like, that's your problem. Deal with it. Otherwise, you're gonna fuck your life up. Do you know what I mean? Or you're gonna lose your job. Or you can do this." Which I don't think we have a lot of that in today's society, of people just being totally bluntly honest in a positive manner. For you to understand, they sort of mommy coddle people, don't they? Oh, it's okay, it'll be all right if you do this.
I'm definitely guilty of that.
And it, personally, from my experience, I don't think it has positive influences.
Or being overly compassionate.
Yeah. Maybe in my experience, to myself. I think with females, probably works.
I think I would agree, because
males needs to be stuck on them. Do you know what I mean?
Well, my self-talk is horrendous. It's
horrific.
horrific.
You need to work on your personal affirmations and do it.
I listen to a lot of things that are very inspiring and very positive, but what talking in my head is like, you're not worthy of shit.
That's the main thing, and we all come from that. I say we all. My experience is, I think we all come from that, because we don't You know, I used to do that myself because I had no real positive affirmations to work from. But once you write down, especially your list of goals, mate, we can go through this if you want. It's literally this is what I fucking live for. I love this shit. Gets me going.
My list of goals.
Yeah, so yeah,
Mate,
list of goals.
It's so uncomfortable.
Really? Yeah, but you just got to work out what you want. Do you know what I mean? So list of goals.
True.
And then, you know, where you want to be in 5, 10, 15 years time. You know, it could be fucking anywhere. It could be like I want to sit on a beach in Spain and I don't need any money, so I can go do that in 4 weeks' time. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Pretty
not
much, yeah.
Or, you know, you want to be a billionaire sat on the beach. So, okay, I need to do this, this, and this, and this.
Maybe 30 years or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. And once you know where it is and you can work out a timescale, you can work out how quickly you need to progress to get to those levels. But the positive affirmations, they are more general, but they relate back to your goals as well. So, you know, one of my personal affirmations, and I'll tell you what it is first, and then I'll tell you where it came from. And you won't believe it, but there's so many things I get from this person, that...
J.K. Rowling.
No, it's not J.K. Rowling, unfortunately.
Okay.
But, so one of my affirmations that I say every day is, I will be what I set out to be, without undoubtedly.
Say that again.
I will be what I set out to be, without a doubt, undoubtedly. And that comes from Eminem.
Well, it explains the rhyming, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But you know, it's strong because it's general as well. Sorry.
It's all good. Carol. But just be relaxed. Just bring it close to you.
Okay, sorry. I was quite relaxed. But...
No, the posture was fine. It looked good, but just tilt it a little bit. You're all good.
There we go.
That's right.
But yeah, no, it's quite general.
If you just slouch down again, because that looked comfortable. Yeah, there you go. Try that.
There we go.
That's it. That's better.
Back of the room.
Yeah.
But you know, it's general, but it's powerful because it works for anything. Any of your goals, it works for it.
There's
and then you don't have to change your affirmation.
There's a comedian called Andrew Schultz, and his...
Oh, Andrew Schultz, he's brilliant.
I fucking love him. Have you heard of his?
No.
Be undeniable.
That's a good one.
That's it.
Yeah. And they have to be as simple as that.
Godlike.
You know, if the simpler they are,
Be undeniable.
the quicker your conscious mind pushes them to your subconscious, and your subconscious, once your subconscious picks your minds up. I don't know this, but from Think and Grow Rich, anybody who's into this type of stuff, I'd highly advise you to read that book. But I think your subconscious mind projects your reality.
For sure.
So we're all living interdependent and co-creating this plane we live on.
It's a lot of fancy words there. It's very good.
Yeah. But
I feel like you're a smart boy.
well, I pretend to be. I've read a couple of books, so you know, just,
3.
who knows what they mean.
They sound very good.
But yeah, so once your conscious mind is obviously the plane that we work from.
Inhibit.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And we can understand and comprehend. The subconscious mind basically projects our conscious mind's plane. That's my belief. Could be wrong. Hopefully there's some science to back it up, but that's what my experience comes from. Or that's what my experience leads me to believe. And when you consciously project things into your subconscious mind, like your positive affirmations, after a while, they just happen.
I think for me, I run the...
And your forgive me to interrupt, your negative self-affirmations, because that's what they are. If you're giving negative self-talk, you're just negatively self-affirming.
I think what it is, I'm very well aware of, through no decisions or impetus of my own, entirely due to pretty much my parents. They've given me the tools to be disciplined and confident and structured as anything I put my hand to. Nothing to do with me. Me intrinsically is an arrogant, selfish creature. So,
which young males are that? It's part of our nature and it's required for survival.
Which I have lived previously. So any positive talk I give myself, not necessarily of what positive impact I have on other people, but of who and what I am intrinsically, I stay away from, because I know where it leads. So I give myself a hard time, and I keep myself as humble as I possibly can, because I know where it leads, and I'm scared of where it leads, because I don't. The last thing I need is anything that's going to make me more confident.
Yeah.
Because I don't consciously think this, but I walk and hold myself in a way as if I own everything I am beside. Like
But I think, if I can make a comment on that, that's probably to do. Males, we have always had to fight for survival. Whether it's now, 100 years, 50 years ago, whatever it was, 1,000 years ago, we've had to fight for survival. Whether it's to, hunt and gather, or in this day and age, we need to. We still need to protect and provide, but we also have to deal with various other things that our ancestors wouldn't have had to deal with, and we are not allowed. Whereas previously we'd be allowed to use and show our aggression. These days we're not allowed to use and show our aggression. So I think we have to find an outlet to get them out in a positive manner, which is not always easy. Do you know what I mean? Because we live in a quite a female-dominated society, even though it's more of a patriarchy. A lot of the things we spoke about today.
Bullshit, Carol.
Well,
the patriarchy is bollocks, Carol.
Not in a negative way.
I see.
It's a positive.
Yeah. Yes.
Most societies are built by men because
we weren't given birth.
We won't be given birth. We can work for longer.
Yep.
We will get up earlier.
We will risk more. We will die more.
We will die for survival.
We will fight more.
Yeah.
We will fight fires more. We will be the police more. We will fight wars more. We will hurt ourselves more. We'll do dangerous things more.
Although it's an unpopular opinion, if 100 men come up against 100 women, 100 men are going to win.
There's going to be not a single woman left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And like 95 men left.
And that's just for whatever reason. It's genetics or whatever you want to call it.
Biology.
It's biology. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Whether that's a positive or a negative, you can view it however you want.
Irrelevant. It's
just a fact.
It is what it is.
No opinion necessary.
Nope.
It's just what would happen. So that's
Facts
why.
Don't give a shit about your opinions, people.
Exactly. Facts don't care about your feelings. Remember that. But the point I was trying to make is that, well, that's one. The reason you have the patriarchy, because patriarchy, the men tend to do all those things. But we need different outlets in life, and that's why I think everybody should do some type of martial art or gym, exercise, lifting heavy weights. That's one thing I've realised since I've been going to the gym is, although I don't do any type of martial arts or boxing or anything like that, which I think is something I'm going to start incorporating because it's a good stress reliever to get rid of aggression. Lifting heavy weights properly helps release some of that aggression, and it needs to be done because we're not really allowed to show it in society anymore. Whereas, you can speak to our parents like back in the day, go to the pub, there'd be fights all over the place, and that was normal. And no one was like, "Oh my god, there's been a fight." It was like, "Oh my god, there's a twat in a fight." Like these days, you see a fight in a pub, all of the women in there will be screaming. Do you know what I mean? Like, "Oh my god, what's happened?" And it's like, he's been a twat, so you're knocked out. Yeah, but you shouldn't have hit him. Well, you should have.
Yeah, people who don't understand violence having opinion on violence is just.
Yeah.
Do you remember 2020 when there was that incident in Forbury Gardens? I remember.
That was horrific.
That was horrible. If anyone doesn't know, there was a horrific stabbing. I think homophobically related.
It was a school teacher, wasn't it?
Yeah, where several people died because some lunatic killed a load of people in a local park.
Was it? I didn't realise it was orientated.
I believe it was. If I'm remembering correctly, I think it was.
It's madness, do you know what I mean?
But I was speaking to a friend of mine who I've trained with for years, and we've done resistance training. We've done. The two of us used to try out different martial arts together. So we'd try out karate, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Kung Fu, MMA, whatever. I remember being on a call with him and his girlfriend at the time, and him and I were just talking about the situation and be like, oh yeah, what would we do in the situation, whatever. And she piped up and was just there like, I'll just punch him in the face. And I was like, okay. As the perspective of someone who does not understand violence, it's not that simple. You've got to fucking leg it. Number one is run the hell away. And then number two, if you can't run, you kill them.
Yeah.
If someone's got a knife trying to kill you, you kill them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like, but that is the last option.
Resort, yeah.
You run. You just get away from it. You don't just punch him in the face. One punch doesn't do shit.
Exactly, yeah.
But I was just like, I remember just being on the phone just saying to her with him, like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
As someone who hasn't been punched in the face, you don't know what you're saying.
You haven't been punched in the face, so she hasn't.
She hasn't. Mate, I've lost count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do, I don't know what it's like for females, but you do realise a couple of times after being punched in the face, you realise that
how much of a bitch you are.
But you realise it's not, depending on how hard they hit you and whether you can get up from it, unless you're an actual, you are a pussy.
Well, the scariest thing is when you realise that it's not even the punch that's the problem, it's the punch and then you fall and hit your head.
That's the thing.
That's terrifying.
That's why I never, or do everything I can. If there's any trouble, and I don't go out that much anymore because, especially in Reading, you go out and everybody just wants to have a fight.
Like a war zone, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, it's painful. For whatever reason, I don't know, but everyone just wants to scrap. And, again, I'm the type of person, I'm not just going to sit there and take it. So I'd rather just remove myself from the situation.
You and me both, mate.
You'd have to retaliate, and then, I feel like if some guy started on me in a club who I don't know, I couldn't give a flying fuck about.
It's not worth going to prison because you've killed someone.
Exactly,
it's not worth it.
And I go to prison, and I'm in prison for 25 years.
It's not worth it. It's for manslaughter.
For a bloke I don't even know or care about, and he's ruined my life. Do you know what I mean?
There's no point.
So just remove yourself from the situation.
It's a smart way to go when it comes about ego. Mr. Max, I think how many topics did you come here with?
I think we had a good 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think we've done like 1.5.
Yeah.
And this has been nearly 4 hours.
We've done pretty well.
You see what I mean though? Like, you don't need a structure.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just talk. Unfortunately, I think I'm at a point now where I'm having a cognitive decline.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think it would be best for the listeners.
You're able to keep your eyes open.
No, it's not. It's not even that. I'm there like.
Oh, yeah, the vino's hitting.
Oh, mate, if it was only vino, that's a very good wine by the play. See, yeah, I fucked up. I got excited.
It's alright, mate. We've got plenty of time.
Just got twatted. It just means we've got to do it again.
Exactly.
My friend, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Have you got any parting words at all?
No, not really. No. I think we discussed quite a few points today. We can always move on to the next one.
Put the worlds to right. Well, you can tick off if you're satisfied with how we've discussed them. You tick off your little items.
I can tick off 1.5 of them.
There you go. Cool. And then we can carry on from there later on.
Reconvene another time.
Super.
Appreciate that, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Absolute pleasure.
Take care, buddy.
And thank you to everyone for listening.